Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TWitWoW monthly Q&A. Number 21 this time around. We are going to be using this time to answer all of the questions that you asked throughout the month of March 2018. And really, again, we're kind of in a situation where most of these were actually asked in February after our last Q&A, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to change the schedule. The idea is you guys asked your questions and we're answering them. So how do you feel about this, John?
I feel absolutely great. I'm just going to get one quote-unquote question, even though it wasn't really a question, out of the way super early because I didn't even record it. Happy early birthday, Cliff. Asia wanted me to wish Cliff a happy early birthday, so getting that out of the way. So that aside, and that wasn't even tying that on because I didn't even let you know that Asia asked me to do that. You said that we got 68 questions this month, right?
So yeah, we sure did. 68 questions. Well, we had 64 coming into today, and then we got 4 more because Alex Foster loves to wait until the last minute to submit his questions. So yeah, we ended up with 68 total.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. You guys always ask great questions. Hell, in my neck of the woods with the pin tweet and stuff, you got some questions, Ashton, that made me smile because it really shows that people are like listening to your personality and want to get your takes on shit. So I thought that was really cool. And just for both of us, we got some very interesting questions. And one that I put quite a bit of thought into that I'm actually excited to answer. So I'm really stoked for this today.
Sweet. All right. Well, I mean, shit, man. I don't really have anything better to do. You ready to get right into this?
Let's do it.
All right. First up, we've got 4 questions from Hypothesis. First of which being, if the first wrestling boom was in the 40s and 50s, and the second wrestling boom was in the 80s and 90s, do you think that the third wrestling boom is inevitably going to happen in the 2020s/2030s? And if so, who do you think will be at the forefront of it?
Damn, I mean, anything's possible, really. So I'm not going to say no to that. And honestly, I would say if anybody would be at the forefront of it, I mean, WWE is always going to be at the forefront of everything because they are the conglomerate. But I'd be very interested from 2020 to 2030, the kind of growth that New Japan would have in that decade. Because with their U.S. expansion, like I think they've become a very intriguing card on the table. Now, let me clarify. When I say intriguing, I don't mean they could compete with WWE head-to-head. You and I actually have talked personally about this many times. It takes a lot of manpower, a lot of resources, and most importantly, a lot of time. So I'm not getting my head in the clouds about that. But do I think a lot of the great wrestling would come from a place like New Japan? Maybe WWE could even have a boon. Sure. I think the indie scene's really heating up because I've actually seen a lot of independent wrestlers like coordinating more. I think indie feds are kind of on the rise and some are like really kind of feeling themselves. Things are happening. So 2020 to like 2020s and 2030s, absolutely, I think could be like a great period just for wrestling in general if we don't constrict ourselves to the WWE bubble. But I'm more interested about your take, Ashton, because I know you always have a different approach to looking at things than I do. So what do you think?
Really, I don't necessarily think there will be another big wrestling boom. As nice as it's to think about, the kind of cycle, I think that the previous 2 wrestling booms had big reasons behind them. And I'm very uneducated on what Hypothesis said was the wrestling boom of the 40s and 50s. I don't know anything about that. I'm assuming that's like the Lou Thesz kind of era, but I don't even know for sure, so I'm not going to say for sure. But as far as the 80s and 90s, Hulk Hogan was a pop culture icon before he even came to the WWF. He was in one of the Rocky movies, so that was a big deal there. And then later on in the 90s, the whole Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Attitude Era boom, I really do think that that was more competition based than any one thing that any wrestling company did. And there really is no proper competition for the WWE anymore. So I honestly think that it's probably a fair assumption to say that we're probably never going to have at least anywhere as close to the wrestling boom that we had in the 80s and 90s ever again. I think at the very least, we might hope to get up to like 4.0 to 5.0 ratings. And that's being really, really generous and really optimistic about the outlook. And that's if WWE really pulls itself together and starts making way better decisions. And I just don't see that happening. I don't think that unless a big time competition will step up to force WWE to try, I don't think that they are going to, because they're just going to keep being profitable regardless.
And you know what? I think that's a very fair assessment. I'm not going to tag anything onto that. Let's get to Hypothesis. Next question.
If you had to come up with an original gimmick for a wrestler, what would it be?
I feel like we answered like a version of this question. That's when you came up with the like brilliant, over the top kind of SJW equivalent of right to censor. Um, damn. See, because I don't want to be that guy, but I think answering a question like that, you have to know the environment in which the character is being created. Like, for instance, I think you and I would agree that Lucha Underground's a very different environment from WWE. Because WWE, I think, tries to ground it more in like that real stuff and human stuff. And Lucha Underground can do that too. But alongside that, they've got the more fantastical elements such as time travelers and dragons.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't know, man. I've always kind of sucked at like the character stuff. I always just think more about like characters that resonate with me. I guess I would like to create somebody that like is cerebral like the Sandow gimmick, but has like a messiah complex. So almost in a way, like I feel like Jericho came off as during his 2012 run against Punk. Like, oh, I'm going to end this world and I'm, you know, the best there is. But like they're really intelligent about it. They want more than that. Like they want to turn the promotion that they're in on its head because they feel like it's garbage and they're the only thing that's good. And so they have like this messiah complex and they really want to just take it down. So maybe like Bray Wyatt meets Damian Sandow, but turned up to like 11. You know what I mean? Yeah. That I think would be the kind of character I'd want to create. What about you though?
I'm actually gonna use my Puitov character as the answer here. The Puitov character is kind of a weird, almost like a Slender Man kind of character. It's a big, I would say like Vibora size, like 6'5", 6'6", somewhere around there size dude with who comes out almost Naito-esque. He comes out in a suit and he has a mask that's literally it's not even really a mask. Like, you know how there are those like blue and green bodysuits for like green screen work and shit?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except it's not colored. It's just white. It's literally just a white, almost like a hood or like a mask, but it covers their entire face. And they can either wrestle with that on, which I haven't really decided, or they can just take it off before the match, like what Naito used to do in the G1. And that's kind of like, it's like the power game, like the intimidating, like Baron Corbin type move set and wrestling style too. So that would be kind of like the character that I would make.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's move on.
All right. Third question from Hypothesis. You were starting your own wrestling promotion. What would you do to stand out from the rest of the industry? I really like this question, actually. This is really going to make me think. Going to be creative.
You want to go first? Because I feel like you'd probably come up with something more than I would.
Well, if I'm starting my own wrestling promotion, I think that the big thing that I would have to know in this fantasy scenario is what kind of budget do I have?
Yeah.
Budget, I'm definitely doing movie style cinematics a la Lucha Underground. Only I think I would dedicate a whole hell of a lot more to that kayfabe, in the sense that I would want my commentators not even to acknowledge that the performers in the ring have any experience in the wrestling world outside of the promotion. Because like you get like Matt Stryker all the time talking about people that were in New Japan, and Vampiro talking about the Great Muta and how people look like they were inspired by other people. I don't want any of that. I want it to take place entirely within its own universe. I don't want anybody referencing anything that is in the real world that wouldn't also be viable within this separate universe. And I want it to really feel more like a self-contained TV show, like a Marvel, like a, you know, like a Game of Thrones, like a Breaking Bad, but more fantastical, like Guardians of the Galaxy type shit within a wrestling ring and within a wrestling promotion within that context. And I would also, on top of that, really try to make a point of certain little rules as far as wrestling goes. Like I would ban suicide dives. And when I say that, I don't mean I don't want anyone ever doing suicide dives, but it would be an open and outward rule that you can't do suicide dives, so that when like a babyface starts a match off with a suicide dive, it's like, holy shit, he's breaking the rules. He must be really pissed at that guy. And like, I want it to be more of a big deal. And closed fist punches, same thing. I want a closed fist punch to be banned so that when somebody actually uses it, it's a bigger deal. Kind of like what we saw in the Ibushi Nakamura match from Wrestle Kingdom 9. Like when Ibushi threw that closed fist punch, it was like, holy shit, like he's not taking any of Nakamura's shit anymore. Like I want that kind of effect, but I want that to be with punches. And the reason with suicide dives is also because suicide dives in general are just overused. They might even ban super kicks too. I don't know. But like in general, moves that are way overused, I would ban in kayfabe so that when somebody used them, it would make a bigger deal out of it.
All right, my answer isn't going to be anywhere near as good as yours, and I'm going to focus more on like the creative side for mine because I was thinking while you were talking, and I agree with you. Like thinking about a really big budget, I would want to do it like a movie style thing, like Lucha Underground does. Except I think I would want to push the envelope even farther in a way. Like I'm envisioning this show because, and I think Brandon's in chat. Yeah, he is, and you know, like the big thing him and I are into is like the catch wrestling and the grappling stuff like that. I would want to base my promotion on that. Like here's pretty much the vision I have. I would want a venue that was really dingy and grungy, like a Fight Club thing. Because that's what I like about the Lucha Underground vibe, especially like the first season. You know, it definitely gave that Fight Club vibe, and I would want to kind of replicate that. Very small roster size, and there's a reason for that. I would want maybe like, well, let's see, it'd probably be better to do an even number, so maybe like 10 performers. And I would want to do an anthology style series and really go in depth with the storylines. So like you would almost see like you could travel with one performer to their home, learn about their familial relationships. Do they have any romantic relationships, anything like that, and really get to know them. So it's like really, really pushing the television side even further. And I would want to do like an anthology series type promotion where it's a new roster every season. So like these arcs are self-contained, you know, and you don't see those perform. Maybe you would see them again, but it would be a good bit. And I would want
new so almost like Black Mirror with wrestling.
Exactly. Or American Horror Story with wrestling.
Right. Like they all take place within the same universe, but you don't necessarily follow the same story every season.
Exactly.
I love that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would just be this like, really, honestly, the best word would be like, if you want to say catch or shoot wrestling, but really even like pancrase, you know, like I would want to do that type of style with very dramatic stories of like, say at the end of the season, there's one match, like these two guys, and it's for $100,000. And the one guy needs it because he needs to get out of poverty, needs to get his family out of poverty. The other one needs it because, you know, it helps cover medical bills or college or something like that. And they fight for it and stuff like that. And you really get to see both sides. And I really wouldn't even, honestly, I really wouldn't even want to do like heels or faces. I would just want to really focus on like more of like a societal thing and the human relationship to society from all different angles. So like the way how we've said how we could understand how Dante Fox acted the way he did to Killshot. That's kind of how I would want to portray it. There really isn't a bad guy. You may still fall some way, but you could understand the motivations of everybody involved. And yeah, I think an anthology series, again, with such a small roster, and then you get all these new characters, and then maybe there'd come a time where, again, we would retread that ground. Like, you know, a season of like Redux, we check in on these characters, whatever. But, you know, with constantly different rosters, you don't have that worry of, oh, this guy's, you know, I always said, like, when I was a kid, my promotion would be called Continental Championship Wrestling. Obviously, I wouldn't go with the name for a project like this, but whatever the name is, oh, that guy's insert my promotion here guy. No, he's just that guy for that one season. So you really don't have those ties. So then there isn't the blowback if they want to leave. You do one season.
Right. So then you don't run into like a Ricochet situation where
exactly.
You build the company around one or two guys, and one of those two guys ends up being like, oh, I'm out.
Exactly. So
it makes a lot of sense, man. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And also I wanted to say, in addition to my rules, I would also have kind of not necessarily a rule. I would definitely have a rule against any kind of choke, like any kind of like guillotine or dragon sleeper or actual sleeper, any kind of choke, whether it's an air choke or a blood choke, I don't care. It's banned. And that would also definitely raise the stakes if someone actually did that, and it would make it feel more real. And I would also really get in the ears of the guys in the locker room and let them know that if somebody gets locked into a proper submission, like an actual submission that people can recognize as like, holy shit, that's a real submission that I've seen before in UFC, and they don't tap out within 15 seconds, they're fired.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like that's, I think that there's a really major disconnect when you see a guy like Roman Reigns let a Triple H lock him in a proper cross arm breaker that you've seen before in the UFC. Like you've actually seen in the, you've seen Ronda Rousey tap people out with that cross arm breaker. And then in WWE, somebody gets locked in it and they're in it for seconds, like 30, 40, 50 seconds. and they spend more time worrying about getting to the ropes than relieving the pain that they're supposed to be in. That is a huge disconnect on a kayfabe level for me. And I think a lot of people experience that as well. And I want to avoid that at all costs. So either A, don't let yourself get locked into a submission, keep your hands clasped if you're in the arm bra or that kind of stuff, do more things to prevent the submission from being locked in properly. Or B, if you do get locked into it, tap the fuck out immediately.
Exactly. Yeah, I really like your mindset about it, bro. And I even, the more I think about my own idea, I'm definitely warming up to it. So that question actually didn't go as horrendously as I thought it would.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right. Fourth and final question here from Hypothesis. Thoughts on NBC's claim that Discord is basically an alt-right hotbed? And then he added in parentheses, their claim happened a while ago, but I kept forgetting to ask. So I guess I'll go first for this. Since you went first for the first two, I'll go first for the second two. I never heard this report, but if it is actually something that NBC claimed, I'm sure it's based on some kind of small sample bias where maybe there's like an alt-right or a few alt-right discords where people of that mindset really flock. But I don't think that necessarily means that Discord is this bad place that endorses the alt-right mentality. I think it's more just Discord will not censor people, and I'm okay with that. So that's kind of my thought on it.
I mean, you, especially with the latter half of your sentiment about like Discord not being bad. Look, Discord, Twitter, they're all to me tools, and whoever appropriates those tools, like you can only control so much. I mean, hell, for me on Twitter, because you know I'm also on the more like political and philosophical side of Twitter. A lot of Nazis there, a lot of alt-right people there.
Well, yeah, and plus the thing with Twitter too is that they tend to be much more liberal in a literal sense, but also liberal about just straight up banning people from their platform for having thoughts that go against their ideology.
I think they're a bit lenient with some Nazis. I've seen.
Really? Yeah. I just know that there have been like more well-known talking heads in like the alt-right or in the conservative, and I'm not a big fan of that mentality. I think it's a bad mentality to have, but I also have a problem with censorship, and I know that there have been some alt-right figureheads that have definitely been banned from Twitter for basically just saying their shit.
Right. I really don't hear much. I hear about them losing their blue check marks. They're like, oh, this is like an official Twitter account. But yeah, I've seen some stuff. I mean, look, everybody's experiences are different, but really just to answer the question, I didn't see the story. I had seen articles when Charlottesville first happened that like Discord was a tool that alt-right people used to discuss Charlottesville.
And you know what? If that's the case, then so is Facebook, because Facebook,
yeah.
The freaking group chat from the dude that shot up the school down in Florida. That was like him talking about how he wants to kill blacks and Jews and shit. Like it's the same thing. Like you can't control what people that use your platform to say, and you shouldn't do that either. Like if they have shit to say, even if it doesn't necessarily deserve credibility, they should be allowed to say it. And then people that have less of a toxic mindset should be able to call them out for their shit. It shouldn't be, oh, you said something naughty, we're going to not let you talk anymore. That's bullshit.
And, not really going to touch that because that's separate from the question, and I'd have more to say about that. But as far as like the Discord and stuff goes, I mean, again, they are all tools. And these tools, I think, by their very nature, are amoral. And I think they only take on a moral dimension based on how they're used. And that's not really something you can foresee or, really control extensively, at least in my mind. So I don't blame Discord. I mean, hell, we have a TWitWoW Discord that I love very much. And, obviously if people are going to prowl around that have more, unsavory views, so to speak, that's not an indictment on Discord. That's more an indictment on the person. So, when any platform becomes available, all types of people are going to want to jump on it. I guarantee you when the alternative to Facebook comes out, which I think we may be like a decade away from that, I'd say, with the momentum that Facebook's been losing.
I mean, shit, man, how many people thought that when MySpace was going strong in like 2004?
Yeah, right. But like the next platform that comes out, to really rival Facebook, which I do think will happen. A lot of people, both, whatever, and alt-right and liberal and all these different types of people, they'll jump on it. It's just a tool. I didn't hear the story. Again, I read stories in the aftermath of Charlottesville that they did congregate on Discord. But again, I don't think that's an indictment of Discord. So that's the best I could say about it. Let's move on.
All right. Next 4 questions from Races Fan Rocks 4. First up, John. He's asking you, who's your daddy? Mundo,
Oh,
James, or Andrade?
James is my daddy. I mean, I love Mundo and Andrade, but I mean, you know, James takes care of me, and I love him very much. So yeah, James is my daddy, easily.
All right, next question from Races Fan Rocks 4 for both of us. Who at the new temple, what deaths do you guys want to see?
Definitely Cortez dying. You know, just complete that trio right there. Um, yeah, it'd be amazing if we saw Sexy Star die, but they're probably just gonna be like, oh, you know, this is whatever. Johnny Mundo better not die. He better live forever. But yeah, I'm gonna say Sexy Star and Cortez Castro, and I kind of want Joey Ryan to kill Cortez because that'd be fucking hysterical. So yeah, that's what I predict. What about you, buddy? What deaths do you see coming?
You know, I think the Sexy Star one might be the best answer. It would be nice if we got a little bit of a swerve and everyone's expecting Cortez Castro to die to complete the set of the what was the name of the crew?
Crew? Yeah.
And then Joey Ryan ended up getting killed instead. That would be a great swerve.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That would be pretty cool.
And then who else, man? I mean, shit. Maybe we get like a big surprise shocker, and either Vampiro or Pentagon gets killed by Vamp's master.
Oh yeah, that would be something. That's a good point.
That'd be nuts, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Jesus.
So that's kind of where I'm going. All right, next up, a third question from Racist Fan Rocks: who has the best shooting star press? You know, I think I'm just going to keep it simple, man, and just say Matt Seidel, Evan Bourne, whatever you want to call him.
For me, the answer is obvious. Brock Lesnar. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'll say Ricochet. He actually has a really gorgeous shooting star press, so I'll say Ricochet. Next question.
Next question, and yeah, Ricochet is a great answer, especially really his springboard shooting star to the outside is. I'll definitely give you that. That's probably the best.
Yeah, it's sexy as hell.
Next question is just for me though, and he just wants to know why I'm not a hockey fan. And really, first of all, I'm not a hockey fan. Like I don't have anything against hockey. I'll watch Olympic hockey over the I watched some Olympic hockey during the Winter Olympics like a couple months ago when that was happening. I used to go to AHL games with my parents and grandparents back in the 90s. I went to the Hershey Bears games because we're only like a half hour away from the arena. And yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with hockey. I just don't really get invested because I think the only reason that I ever got invested in football in the first place was because of Madden. Like I just randomly started playing Madden and got into it, and that like got me fully invested in different stuff with football, and that just kind of led me down the rabbit hole. And I used to actually play NHL 98, I want to say, on my Nintendo 64. So it's not like I've never gotten into hockey at all. And I just guess I kind of just grew away from it. I don't want to say grew out of it because that implies that it's like immature and bad or something, but it's not. I just grew away from it. Like I just stopped paying attention to it.
And that's certainly fair, man. All right, we can move on.
All right, well, up next, we've got 4 questions from James.
Here we go.
And the first 3 are what ifs. If you could relive one moment in your life over again, what moment would it be? That's a really hard question for me. I don't think there are any moments in my life that I value as much as wanting to relive it ever over again.
Well, I certainly can't say that about most of my childhood. So, honestly, probably when I knew I was going to get published for the first time, because as I always joke, like, you never forget your first. And it was really the most validating experience in my career because everything else I feel like I've gotten since then just followed from that momentum, you know, being able to put together that body of work. And it all started with that first yes. So I'd really like to relive that because I was fucking stoked that day when I got it. I'm like, yes, all my labor's been validated. So yeah, if I could relive a memory, it'd be probably that. There are probably other ones too, but that's just the first one that comes to mind. So yeah, that's my answer on that side of the question. So
probably my senior trip.
Cool, man. Yeah.
We had a trip to the beach and then to a Phillies game as our big senior trip after we graduated from high school. And that was one of the more enjoyable experiences I've had. It was a lot of fun. So I'd probably say that if I got to relive something.
Very cool, man. I like that. Next question from James.
Next question from James. If you could have a conversation with a world leader, who would it be and what would you discuss?
The Turkish president, Erdogan. That's Erdogan. I probably mispronounced it, but he's a piece of fucking shit. He doesn't deserve me to pronounce it right anyway. I would talk to him about his book banning and his jailing of intellectuals, and pretty much talk at him about why he's a piece of shit and convince him that he should kill himself, like Stan did that one jewelry hawking guy on that South Park episode. So yeah, that'd be the world leader I'd want to talk to.
Oh God. World leader, huh? You know, it's sad that I don't know as many names of world leaders as I would like to. But based on language barrier, I would almost have to say Trump, and hopefully I can convince him just to think more critically and not just take Breitbart and Alex Jones and Fox News as fact.
That's an admirable goal. That's definitely an admirable goal. I like that answer. Next question.
Next question from James. Third question here. This is just for you, John.
Okay.
If you could teach a philosophy course to college students, what would your course be called, and what would it be about?
Yeah, I know. Like he added a bit more. Like I just kind of truncated it so it could fit on the list. I was saying, like he said, like, oh, would it be like Phil like 100 or something like that? I don't really know like what level this course would be, because I feel like it's isolated from most of the philosophical canon that's taught in universities. Because I would definitely want to do like philosophy of disability, because I mean I live it. It's my lived experience every day. So I would want to do a course like that, and we would talk about like bioethical issues, things such as like genetic editing and screening, because they have technologies now that can detect Down syndrome in an embryo, and accessibility issues, and just all the issues of disability. We would talk about the medical model versus the social construction model. Yeah, we would do a lot. And I know like so many of my friends would probably be on my syllabus. So, I would definitely have plenty to teach. So yeah, definitely a philosophy of disability course would be what I would teach if you could ever pay me enough to be in the hellhole that is a classroom. So there you go.
All right. Well, next up, question for both of us. With Dragon Ball Super ended, what has been your favorite moment from Dragon Ball Super?
Anytime Frieza's laughed, but outside of that, like just god, so good. But outside of that, in all seriousness, I have to say the god, what was the fusion name of Kale? Kefla versus, I believe, Goku. No, I wasn't Ultra Instinct Goku. I think it was just Super Saiyan God with the Kaioken. So Kaioken Saiyan God, right?
Fairly certain that was the second time he hit Ultra Instinct after his first battle with Jiren.
You know what? Because it is more defensive, and I feel like he dodged a lot of their attacks. So yeah, Kefla. Yeah, I think you're right. Kefla versus Ultra Instinct Goku, I think, was just my favorite moment. And I know it's not necessarily more a moment than it is a battle, but I just thought, visually it was gorgeous. Very intense battle. I mean, we knew how it was going to go. Still didn't make it any less fun to watch. So yeah, that and just the entire existence of Frieza and Golden Frieza, definitely my favorite moments from Super. But what about you, bud? Now that we've kind of, marinated in the show a bit, the finale's over, what would you say your favorite moment was?
Vegeta giving the last of his power to Goku to save Universe 7.
Yeah. Don't fail me, Kakarot.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right. Up next, we've got 4 questions from Brandon Best. First up is for Johnny Goodfellow. Are there any wrestlers besides Kyrie that will force you to exist?
Maybe. I really like the Golden Lovers because it just shows that love belongs to everyone and it's universal, and it just makes me so happy. I know Scumbag doesn't like it too much because he believes that kittens should be punted, not petted, but I think I'm going to get through to him eventually, and I'm just so stoked for all the good wrestling and good people in wrestling, and I just love everybody. So I'm going to say, to answer your question, Golden Lovers, definitely. Shut the fuck up right now. Go to the next question.
Okay. The next question is just for me. Why can't Johnny Gargano be left alone?
It just feels like Tommaso Ciampa, I guess, is just really giving him a hard time.
I mean, he's really not leaving Tommaso alone either, so that's not really a fair question to ask. It's decided. You're leading the witness, Brandon. Come on, man.
All right. Well, if that's the best answer you can give to that question, I guess we can move on to our next question.
Why is it that certain wrestling analysts give credit to one performer when it is a two-person job? I can honestly answer this from the perspective of somebody who occasionally does this. If one performer has a history of giving people really good matches, regardless of the level of their opponent, and another person has a very up and down history, and I'm specifically speaking on the Sasha versus Charlotte feud here, and they end up having a good match, you naturally would give more of the credit to the person with the history of giving people good matches because they just did it again. It's not like, it's not like, oh, now all of a sudden their opponent is just as good as them, because you have to look at the entire picture. You can't just look at one match and be like, oh, that match was good, therefore both of those performers are really good. When most of the time, a good match comes from one good performer and the other performer being good enough to keep up with them, or at the very least to not drag them down. And that's what we see a lot when it's Sasha Banks versus Charlotte, when it's AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns. We've seen that. A lot of different examples where there's one performer who has a history of amazing matches, another performer who's kind of up and down. They have some good matches, some bad matches, and usually the quality of the match depends more on the quality of the opponent than anything. And they have a good match together. I give more of the credit to the person with the history of good matches, because chances are that was just them having a good match with somebody who can have a good match with somebody who's really good. That's just my view.
I could pretty much copy paste what you said. I would just tack on that I think in some cases, like after Gargano Almas, and I would say both guys in that match are incredible. But I noticed a lot of people really giving the credit to Gargano, and I feel like Almas got shortchanged. So I think a part of that too may just be familiarity. Like the indie scenes are growing up about it, which is a great thing. And I think more people are familiar with Gargano than they are with Almas, because he wasn't even always Almas. He was La Sombra for a time. And I don't know how many people in North America are really familiar with that. I'm not saying we're all ignorant. I'm just saying, maybe a good segment is, and that could sometimes make a difference. But yeah, I pretty much, again, copy paste what you said. I feel like you articulated that perfectly. So we can move on to Brandon's final question.
Yeah. Fourth and final question from Brandon, just for you, John. What is your favorite philosophical piece that you've read or written?
I'm going to answer both on that, Brandon, and I'm going to tell you that the best philosophical piece I've ever read was by Sartre, that's Sartre, Existentialism is a Humanism. There have been many great pieces that I've read, but that one always sticks with me because I think that's one of the best arguments, not even necessarily for why atheism is correct, but almost kind of like a counter to Pascal's wager, because Pascal's like, well, if you don't believe in God, you could be condemning your own life, and it would just be safer to believe in God because that's a more fruitful existence, because then you can promise yourself paradise. I think it's a great answer to why atheism isn't to be conflated, as I still feel like in some circles it is, with nihilism or anything like that, that in fact the premises from which atheism arises actually lead to a very full, very rich human life. I think it's actually one of the most beautiful philosophical essays ever written. That's not really something you kind of think about when you think about an essay or a book, but I think the piece is so extraordinarily written, and I would put that piece up against most of the stuff that the quote-unquote new atheists produce today. I absolutely, if anybody was like, I'm questioning my religion, I'm thinking I'm an atheist, where should I start? I would point them in the direction of that essay, without a doubt. It's beautiful. As far as what I've written, God, I hate all of my really older stuff when I first started, because it was such trash, and a lot of my beliefs just make me fucking cringe. But I'd say either my philosophical defense of kink, my philosophical kind of examination of the Charlottesville attack using Plato, which that actually got to be put on the American Philosophical Association's blog, which was a huge fucking deal for me, or an essay I'm currently working on existentialism and disability that's going to be coming out this June. I've got to do a bit of reworking with it, but I'm thinking by the time I'm done with it, some people are going to be like, oh, so this is what you believe? And I'm going to be like, yep, print it. So yeah, that would be my answer as far as the writing half goes.
All right. Up next, we can get to Dominique Adams for questions. And first up is a question for both of us. What recent anime film would you recommend to people getting engrossed in the genre? I don't have an answer, so I'm going to leave this to you, bud.
I really honestly don't have an answer to this either because I really don't watch many anime films as much as just anime. And I don't know if the film part was like a misprint, but I guess like if you want to get into DBZ and that's your type of anime, Bardock Son of Goku is pretty good. I'd say the newer films that they did that you just get to rewatch on Super anyway, those were pretty solid. Because I mean, I guess I can more or less say it because I saw it in a more serialized form. Akira is good. I did see that. Ghost in the Shell, the animated movie, you might want to start with that. I mean, that's a cult classic. That just blew the hell up. So yeah, I'd say any of those movies would probably do, and that's probably the most I'm going to go with those suggestions. So we can move on.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't answer though, because he did say recent anime films. So
yeah, that is true. He did say recent, and yeah, that's why I really couldn't answer too, bud. Like I honestly would. Like the most recent would be those DBZ movies that came out, and like yeah, that's the best I could really do with that.
Yeah.
So
if we're just talking anime film in general, my go-to is Spirited Away, and then just any Studio Ghibli film is great.
Right.
Those would be my choice if it was, taking away the recent part, but it does say recent, so that's why I didn't really have a good answer.
All right.
Second question from Dominique, though. If you could go back in time and watch any wrestling event live from any promotion in the world, what would it be and why? I'm going to answer this right now. I would love to go back and watch live Wrestle Kingdom 9 because to this day, I think that's still the best Wrestle Kingdom we've ever watched. And to be able to be there live and see that take place as it does would be incredible to me.
I just want to qualify something about that question because that was like on my pinned tweet. And again, I had to do reworking of some of the questions. He did say, because you said that was Dominique Adams, right? Yeah. Did say like any promotion past or present, so it could be defunct or active. So I don't know if that changes your answer any. Or
no, that doesn't change anything at all.
Okay, that's fair. For me, I have to, because I'm that guy, WrestleMania 20 just to see Benoit's title win. Like, I'd love to be there live to see it. Like, I got goosebumps watching it on VHS when I finally got, like, a shortened, like, an abridged version of WrestleMania 20 to fit on a VHS tape. And I got goosebumps watching it there. But watching it live in Madison Square Garden would just be freaking insane. So, yeah, I'm going to say WrestleMania 20 because I'm that guy. So I have to.
You know what, though? I think everyone knows that you're that guy and loves you for it. So it's all
right. Next question.
Up next, I think this one's just for Johnny Scumbag, actually. Would Kairi being buried her first year on the roster be worth Kushida never holding the junior heavyweight title again?
Finally, I get to talk. I don't know why Jay Good always gets the fucking talking time. And answer your question, you're goddamn right it would be. She's a piece of shit and she deserves to fail. I would bottle those tears and I would drink them in front of all your faces. And Kushida, that steaming pile of shit, if he never sees a championship again, it would be too soon. Absolutely. I would unequivocally, thank you, Lars Sullivan, a man that I can actually recognize as a superior, not a fucking pleb. I would unequivocally ruin that woman's life for my own selfish benefit, without question, full stop. Yeah!
Fourth and final question from Dominique. Do you believe with the right backing that Andre could have had the same impact as Hogan as face of the WWF in the 80s?
I want you to go first on this, Ashton, because I feel like this question is more in your wheelhouse.
The thing is, he kind of already was. Like, Hogan didn't really properly usurp Andre until like 1987. You're already more than halfway into the decade at that point. So I think Hogan... I think Andre already kind of did have the same impact as Hogan. And, he was also in, what's that? Princess Bride. He was in the Princess Bride. So he also had movie star cred. So I don't really know what more backing he would have needed in order to be more of a star when he was already this huge star and he already was in, the movies and shit. I feel like this question is saying, hey, John, do you believe that Stone Cold Steve Austin could have been a big deal if he just got the right push?
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. to answer the question on my end, I mean, again, this is another one where you could probably copy paste, but even for the sake of answering the question that like that wasn't the case that Andre had, you know, what he had, I don't see why not. I mean, the guy was larger than life, literally and figuratively. And I feel like for me, when it comes to wrestling, a lot of the success of something is really how it's promoted. And I feel like, yeah, if you promote anybody as like the greatest or as this or as that, like it's going to be true, even if we don't really want it to be true, such as the case with Roman Reigns. It doesn't really matter if we want a different like face of the company, like say a Strowman or whatever. He's there because he's really like getting the spot. And honestly, I feel like Andre, like he has more of a presence than Reigns. So I feel like, yeah, if they just knew how to market Andre the right way, absolutely he could be. I just would always be worried that a guy like that would stay, because I know you, Ashton, said that in Andre's original run, like he was undefeated for like so many freaking years. And it's like unsurprising in a way. But if you're going to be like the face of a company, I do feel like conflict's kind of inevitable to keep you interesting. So that is my only worry, was like they'd be afraid to make him look weak or whatever their definition of weak is. But that aside, yeah, I don't see why they couldn't have made it work. And really, the original answer that Ashton gave, I feel like is the best answer you're going to get. So that's where I am.
You got to realize Hogan's win over Andre at WrestleMania 3 was the first time that somebody had defeated Andre the Giant in like a way that was made public in like 16 years.
Yeah.
So it was such a big deal, not because of Hogan, but because of Andre. So
yeah.
Exactly. All right. So up next, we've got questions from Rotten Butter. First question is the usual Rotten Butter first question. It's the old, you know, cool movies, cool music, cool anything that you've consumed over the last month.
All right. I will say that me and the family, we've started on the final season of Bates Motel. We haven't finished, so no spoilers. Watched the latest episodes of Steven Universe recently. That show seems to finally be getting its footing back, which is nice. Adventure Time the same way. I can't believe there's only one episode left and then it's over. It's kind of blowing my mind. Finished the latest season of Jessica Jones. Honestly, like when we talk about like reaction and those kinds of channels, I would love to like rant about Jessica Jones to you guys, because as you can tell you, I didn't necessarily rant at him about it, but I had a very passionate kind of thing about it. I really wasn't as thrilled with it as I was at the first season, which disappoints me, but it's whatever. I know you and I watched the official Infinity War trailer, which is just, oh my god, an eyegasm. Hell, just today, I was going to tell you this, Ashton, when I got on Double Toasted, because I listened to their movie reviews a lot. They did a Cock Blockers review, and it made me think of you, because I know we're talking about that movie.
Did you watch it already?
I did watch it already, yes. They also did a review for Ready Player One that I want to watch.
What kind of grade did they give those movies?
Well, Ready Player One, I don't know yet because I haven't watched that yet. Cock Blockers, I think Martin gave it a rental, Corey gave it a matinee, and Goodwin, nice. I think, gave it a matinee.
Sweet. I mean, that's the thing. Like for a movie that doesn't have like the kind of special effects and sound design that you would expect to require you to go to the theater, I think halfway between a rental and a matinee is a glowing positive review for that kind of movie.
Yeah, there were some points where they were like really critical, but yeah, it was a nice review. So yeah, I do watch Double Toasted on the regular. We watched Coco recently, which was great. God, that was gorgeous.
So good, dude. Yes.
Yeah, we watched.
Movie. Really, yeah. I will say, really predictable. That's like the only negative to Coco, is it is really predictable. But
yeah. Iconic Player One said he discovered a new manga that caused him an emotional breakdown. Damn, bro, that's intense.
Yeah, he talked about that in chat the other day.
Damn, I gotta go back and look at that, man. Goddamn. What else have I consumed? I've just been playing wrestling games. I got back into LA Noir. So Abel, if you're listening to this, I'm playing that game again. God, I'm just busting all the filth in the city. It's disgusting. Still writing, still doing that stuff. Let me think if there's any other big updates. We're still getting through the Americans. We're still in the early seasons. I know the final season's currently in progress. In fact, the show may be over, period. I don't even really know where they're at anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know there's probably going to be stuff that you mentioned that we do together, because obviously we're still playing Rocket League and stuff like that. And yeah, not really much that I feel like I can remark on beyond that,
we're still keeping up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which has been positively mind-boggling these last couple weeks.
Dude, that last episode though.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a mind fuck. Yeah, really can't think of much more to say. I feel like there was something that I wanted to talk about that I'm like, oh, I can mention this to Rotten Butter. And maybe I did already and I just don't know it, but it's like, it's kind of like picking at my brain. Like, oh, didn't you want to mention this? But no, no, that is something. That is something. I listened to a lecture recently about political philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and I learned about the paradox of democracy, which has fucking fascinated me. I even talked a little bit about that in the Discord. So yeah, I actually had a really good month when I think about content and stuff just on my own time. That was really good. Oh yeah, and a shit ton of Zack Sabre Jr. matches. How could I forget? Holy fuck, have I been watching a lot of Zack Sabre Jr. matches. Best ones I've watched were against Mike Bailey, Ricochet, and Dick Togo, who's a beast.
But what about Big Daddy Walter?
Oh, and Walter was fantastic. I actually can't wait to rewatch that match with you, Ashton, when we do get to that PWG show, and I'm looking forward to how your mom reacts to that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention to you, Rotten Butter, a shit ton of Zack Sabre Jr. matches. That was a big part of my month this month. So now, Ashton, I apologize for being so long-winded. Floor is yours.
All right. Well, I really don't have much of an answer. We did watch the Beauty and the Beast cartoon and live action, and the Jungle Book cartoon and live actions next. I'm trying to remember how far into our Marvel marathon we were when we did our Q&A last month. I'm assuming we weren't as far as we are now. So we're basically up to Black Panther. We're waiting for a good quality version of Black Panther to get released online somewhere so we can watch that. And that also kind of spoils the answer to a question we're getting later on about whether we watch Black Panther or not. Spoiler alert, no, we haven't yet. We're waiting for a good quality version to come out. Geez, man. I really... God, I really just don't do anything, watch any media or anything like that outside of the stuff that I watch with you, and you already pretty much covered all of it. Yeah. As far as like music, I haven't really added a whole hell of a lot, although I did discover two new, well, I think relatively new female artists that I freaking love. One of them is Jax, and she's like more poppy. And then the other one is Bishop Briggs is her name, and she is more like soulful rock, and her shit is amazing. And I've just been listening to... I literally just discovered Bishop Briggs yesterday, and she's like, if you haven't heard of Bishop Briggs, if you don't know who Bishop Briggs is, if that doesn't ring a bell, if that's not familiar to you at all, and you like soulful pop / rock music, like if you know who Rag and Bone Man is and you like him, you'll probably like Bishop Briggs. She's great. I freaking love her, and I recommend everyone at least check her out, even if you don't necessarily think you're going to love her music. It's worth checking out because I've noticed that she's one of those artists that people from all walks of life tend to like, if not love, regardless of their taste in music. It's one of those rare cases where, like, you know, if somebody normally listens to pop, if somebody normally listens to like hard rock or hip hop or whatever, you listen to Bishop Briggs and suddenly it's like, oh wow, this is good. So that's a big one. And then Haim, I guess. I think I might have mentioned them last time, but yeah, I really haven't consumed a whole hell of a lot of media over the last month. It's kind of a weird thing for me. But then we should probably just move on to our next question then from Rotten Butter. For you, John. This is just for you, John. You ready for this?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
John, we need Ashton, that's me, to start watching anime so we can ask him more questions. And by we, he means me, as in him, as in Rotten Butter, because he doesn't know how to ask questions that don't involve anime, apparently. Tried to sell him being me, Ashton, on an anime you think that would be me again, Ashton, would like.
Oh, shit. I don't know. That's really a tall order. I feel like he's the more persuasive of the two of us. But you know what? It's because I never had enough confidence in myself. You know what? Fuck all y'all. I can do this. You ain't shit. No, I just got to figure out the right anime, though. I mean, we watched Super together. And, Jesus. what anime would be good for you? Because here's the thing too, an anime that I feel like would be good for you. I feel like I'd project because obviously we all have a bias that we have to work through, and so I would first recourse to the anime I've already watched. But that's quite a distinct thing from anime that you'd like. There may be anime that I see on a list and I'm like, meh, that you're like, oh man, that sounds like would scratch the itch. So how about this? Instead of me trying to convince you, let's have a bit of a conversation. Let me put together something before I make the pitch. Like, okay, what genre of anime do you think would work for you? Do you think more sci-fi based or something like that? Like mecha?
You know, I think really like sci-fi would be cool, action would be cool, adventure. I think the one type of anime that I would avoid in general for me would be the romance genre, romance drama kind of stuff. I'm not really into that kind of stuff. And also like I would say Dragon Ball is like the furthest extent I would go as far as like I'm a tough guy and I could beat you up kind of anime.
Right.
Like, any more of that kind of stuff, and I would probably really get sick of the anime quickly. I enjoyed Death Note when I was watching it, and I still haven't finished it, so there's an idea of that.
I'm sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. I've tried watching Naruto before, and it bored the shit out of me.
I don't blame you, dude. Shit ton of filler there. Shit.
I tried watching it from the beginning, and it still bored the shit out of me. I think that's about all I can think of for now.
Yeah. Let's see.
I like anime that has like either A, collectible creatures like a Pokemon or like a Digimon or that kind of thing, or B, like people with superpowers, like, you know, flying and laser blasts. And like, even if we want to go to like, you know, like elemental stuff, like the Avatar series and that kind of stuff, that type of anime appeals to me.
Okay, so then follow-up question. Okay, so I'm zoning in on like sci-fi stuff like that. What particular sci-fi element? Because I mean, there's aliens, there's time travel, there's mecha. You know, like future society.
Definitely not mecha. I've tried mecha anime before, and it does nothing for me. So definitely not mech.
Okay.
Maybe like, I guess aliens would be like okay to a degree. But not like the overly serious, like I don't want to watch an anime that feels similar in tone to the Alien movie. You know what I mean?
We've watched time travel movies. Would you care for a time travel? Because I know a time travel anime that I love.
Like time travel in general, yes. Especially if it involves like going back in time to try and change the future. That is my shit.
Okay. I don't know if this anime would work, but I think I can do something based on the very crude composite sketch that we've done here, because questionnaires aren't for marks in this case. And let me just pull it up. Okay, so no, this is the game. I want the fucking anime. Thanks, Wikipedia. Thank you. Okay, so it's called Steins Gate. And the plot...
heard of it.
Okay, so you have heard of it. Yeah,
I think so.
It's fucking awesome, especially the dub. And I try and be like a bit more critical with dub because, you know, it's like being all that stuff. But yeah, the dub voice work, and I feel like Chris Sabat isn't even on this, so like that's big praise coming from me because I usually suck the guy's dick, and so him not being on this and me. Oh, actually, no, he is on this. He is on this. Okay, that makes more sense. But no, the dub really is good outside of him. And. Let's see here. God, I just want to give you a concise answer to the plot because it's been a long time since I watched it. God, you know, why do I even have to convince you? You should just watch it with me. You're always roping me into, oh, John, let's watch the Harry Potter movies. You and you're selling, and then we did, and then it turned out to be good. Just watch this with me, and then you could be your own judge. Because no, it's a really like, it's this scientist, but like he's genius, but not arrogantly so. Like he's more of like just like a nice guy. He's not like a big brain or anything like that. Like he's smart, but he's very sociable. And I think he's
all right, guys. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. John and I are gonna watch all 24 or 25 episodes of Steins Gate between now and the next Q&A. So if you want to ask questions about it, you can.
Yes. I didn't even do my job, but we're doing stuff. I call that a win because I'm petty. Next question.
just doing anything I can to move on, dude.
Yes, I know that's the best tactic is wasting time. So next question.
For both of us, what's your go-to team? And again, I can't answer this because I don't play this game, but John, I'm sure you'll be able to answer this very effectively. What is your go-to team on Dragon Ball FighterZ? And if you're not playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, what's wrong with you? I'm broke as fuck. That's what's wrong.
Yeah, I'm poor. Way to like class shame me, a piece of. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I am poor. I'm waiting for it to go on a steep sale. But I can tell you that my team, based on the roster, would probably be Vegeta, Super Saiyan. It's Super Vegeta if possible, because that's my favorite iteration of Vegeta, even if it's not like the strongest, canonically speaking. Frieza, and it would be Golden Frieza, and he would laugh the whole time. And I'm gonna say Jiren. Yeah, Jiren. We'd be unstoppable.
I didn't even know that it was supposed to be a team of 3 because I've never even played this game before or had seen anyone play it. Ta-da.
I like how you made it sing-songy, and then with that little slip up, you're like, you sing it the rest of the way. That was impressive. That was good. Was that his final question, or does he have another one?
No, he's got 2 more, actually. That was only his second question. Or no, that was his third question. The fourth one is how to get burned. How to get burned. How to get burned.
Because you left it in the oven too long, and you should live with that never-ending source of shame. You?
It's a Wicker Man reference. And
in
the movie, the way the woman responds is, I don't know.
Oh, all I know from the Wicker Man is, the bees, the bees, why? So, yeah.
That's another iconic line from Nicolas Cage in that movie. So,
he's in the bear costume and he punches one of the women in the face. What a crazy visual, that movie. I'll tell you. So, yeah, next question.
We've got 3 from Abel Herrera.
Oh, Abel.
And the first one's for me, and he wants to know who my top 10 favorite prospects are in the draft this year. All right, so let's start with the 2 easy ones, the 2 quarterbacks that I think are going to be really good in the NFL, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Those are my 2 quarterbacks. Running back, obviously, Saquon Barkley. Wide receiver, DJ Moore. Let's see. Edge rusher, Harold Landry is a big one. Harold Landry. So now we're up to 5. I've got 5 left. There are Leighton Vander Esch is a linebacker out of Boise State that I think looks like the next Brian Urlacher, Luke Kuechly type elite middle linebacker in the NFL. Taven Bryan is a defensive lineman from Florida, and I think if he is asked to play defensive end, whether that's in, regardless of what kind of defense it's in, 3-4, 4-3, doesn't matter. As long as it's end and not defensive tackle full-time, I think he's going to be really good. If he does get asked to play defensive tackle full-time, he's going to get destroyed in the run game, but he's still going to be a damn good pass rusher. I think he's going to be a really good pass rusher on the inside. So he's one of them. Let's see. Who am I missing? We'll say Denzel Ward at corner. Justin Reed is my favorite safety in this draft. I know a lot of people love Minkah Fitzpatrick and Derwin James, but Justin Reed is my guy. I think he's awesome. And let's see. Let's put a little extra on there. You know what? I'm just going to name another running back because it's all I can really think of right now. Rashad Penny, I think, is going to be really, really good, and I think he's going to get underdrafted. He's this year's Kareem Hunt, except I think he's actually a more talented running back than Kareem Hunt. So that hopefully is a good one. And those aren't like my top 10 on my big board or anything. It's just the 10 favorite guys that I could think of in the moment right now because I do no preparation for this whatsoever. So those are my 10. So it's Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Saquon Barkley, Rashad Penny, DJ Moore, Harold Landry, Leighton Vander Esch, Denzel Ward. I already forget the other 2 people that I mentioned. Shit. Justin Reed. And then who was the 10th person that I mentioned? Oh, Taven Bryan. Those are the 10. There you go.
All right.
All right. Second question from Abel, just for you, John. What's your favorite memory in Pweetoff?
It hasn't happened yet because I'm scheming on my return currently, which is going to be my favorite memory if I pull it off as well as I want to. But as far as what's already happened, I mean, definitely beating you for the Pweetoff Championship. Ooh. So, next question.
All right, next up, Abel's third question, final question, is for both of us. What is your current dream match? I'm just going to let you mention your favorite Zack Sabre Jr. opponent that hasn't happened yet.
Here's the thing. I will do that. Honestly, Sakura Genesis is probably going to be the dream match because when I think more about like the story in ring, the more I get really hyped about it, about, you know, how like Okada's Rainmaker is essentially him feeding Zack Sabre Jr. a limb to like lock in an armbar. So I'm really excited how they're going to like play that up and how many counters he knows to the Rainmaker. Which is probably one of the big selling points to any Okada match. Is like, how many counters will they have before they get hit with it? With Johnny Mundo, definitely Mil Muertes. I think those two could have an amazing freaking match together. I want it. And before that, it would have been Johnny Mundo and Angelico. But as we already talked about on the podcast, it's probably not going to happen. And for Andrade, honestly, his dream match is happening at TakeOver New Orleans because I can't wait to see him versus Aleister Black too, because it's the new Andrade and not the one that was like all tranquilo all the time and stuff like that. So yeah. Andrade with Aleister, which is happening at TakeOver New Orleans. Zach with Okada, which is also happening, and I hope they kill it at Sakura Genesis. And with Mundo, it's Mil Muertes, and they haven't had a one-on-one match yet, so that's the most dream match, or of the dream matches that I've put forth. So there you go.
Okay. This is tough for me. Let's see. I'm going to say, let's see. Shit. I think the hardest thing for me is coming up with something that actually hasn't happened, because a lot of my dream matches have either already happened or just happened in some capacity that I wasn't satisfied with, something like that. Because, like, to me, like, I feel like, Timothy Thatcher versus ZSJ would be a dream match.
Yeah, I actually watched that match. That was one of the matches that I watched. It was really good. So
you know what? Just gonna stick to the WWE because that kind of seems to be a big deal. And kind of the place where dream matches are most likely to end up eventually happening. I'm gonna actually say something a little bit from left field just because neither one of these people is necessarily a big time favorite wrestler of mine. I'm actually gonna say Daniel Bryan versus Ricochet.
Ooh, I really like that.
Because I never thought that could ever happen, because Ricochet never really hit that like mainstream WWE, even being on like WWE's radar prior to Bryan's retirement. So it's like, well, now that's actually a possibility because Ricochet's in the system. Bryan's cleared. Like it's actually a thing that might happen.
Right.
So it's gonna be my dream match.
All right, I like that, man.
What I was thinking of was Thatcher, since we already mentioned Thatcher. Thatcher versus Suzuki. Just holy shit.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yes. Oh, my God.
That would be the other one. 4 questions from Super Blue. First up, is our race stupid enough to build a colony on Venus? I hope not, because Venus's atmosphere is toxic as fuck.
I'm going to say yes. Yes, we are. Like, I would not put anything past our species, so I'm going to take the more depressive view and say 100% yes, we are.
I think we're much more likely to build a colony on Mars than Venus.
I mean, I agree. Mars is number one, but could we, like, feel like...
Venus is, like, completely inhabitable. Mars is just mostly inhabitable. And Mars is also, like, a situation where by the time the Earth gets so hot from the sun's expansion that it's inhabitable, Mars will have kind of reached a nice sort of Goldilocks temperature where it will be habitable in a much better way.
Okay. Yeah, I was originally going to say something about like your wording, because I was going to say, do you mean uninhabitable? But no, now I get what you're saying. Like you're distinguishing habitable and inhabitable in the negative.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, that just threw me off a little bit, hit the ear a little weird. But no,
I know my words sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you for putting sometimes, because I was about to be a dick about that too, but you covered that bit. Like, I'm not letting you have this. So no, that seemed like a very very mature answer, more than I gave. So we can move on.
All right. Second question from Super Blue: what is more likely to happen after Survivor Series? The end of SmackDown Live, the end of the brand split, or Road Dogg getting fired?
Well, the brand split's already ending after Mania, so I guess objectively that is the correct answer.
It's not really. It's we're the thing is the brand split is still existing. We're just going to be getting pay-per-views featuring matches from both brands. That's not the end of the brand split.
Well, I would still say though, and you are right, that is a fair counterpoint. But if they're already taking that move, I really wouldn't be surprised if, like, in a few years' time, the brand split was just going to go again. So I will say, yeah, the end of the brand split, because I've even been joking, like this whole Fire Road Dogg thing. Like, I'm never going to tell people what to campaign for and what not to campaign for. I personally think it's a waste of time. I've even joked with you multiple times that I think he's going to get promoted before he gets fired. And SmackDown Live, I don't see that ending. Like that is the B show for a reason. Like it's been around a long time. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. I definitely see like if they're going to cut any show, I would see it being 205 Live. And I don't mean that to be a dig, Alex, because I know you're in chat, and I do agree they've been doing some great stuff. I'm just saying in terms of like response and budget and this and that, like if they're going to cut corners, I think that'd be the first thing to go. And yeah, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and then the brand split, which I already said, like, yeah, I could see that happening. So I'm going to pick brand split. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, based on the fact that, we lost Talking Smack already and they changed around the writing on SmackDown, anything that's good is what we're going to lose first. And I think that the best thing out of those three options is the brand split. I like the brand split, the idea of the brand split, more than I like SmackDown Live with the Road Dogg being the writer. So I think I'm agree with you. The brand split is the most likely to die after.
All right. Next question.
Third question from Super Blue. How do you feel about OTRS Central? I mean, Jeff's an all right dude. I like Jeff. He's very, very, very opinionated. And the thing that I'm not a big fan of is this whole, if you don't see things the way I see them, you're a fucking retard kind of mentality. But I've spoken to the guy on Facebook and Twitter, and as long as you don't go too hard at him challenging his ideals and his ideas about wrestling and football, he's in general just kind of a decent guy from what I can tell.
Yeah, pretty much copy paste. I mean, his videos aren't my cup of tea for exactly the point that you mentioned. Like, I
don't really watch many of his. I'll occasionally watch his like scouting reports on football, but I stopped watching his wrestling related videos.
Yeah, I tried giving him a chance because I'm like, well, maybe it's me, and maybe it still is me. But like for the exact reason you mentioned, like I can't really vibe with content where I feel like I'm not really welcomed in the discussion. Like I feel like I'm being talked at more than talked to on a mutual plane. And that's always the kind of vibe I get from him. Maybe that isn't even how he feels. I know some people, they just like have a way of speaking or carrying themselves that it just comes off a certain way. And it could very well be that. So I'm not looking to drag him or be malicious or anything. Again, copy paste with you because he seems like a good dude. I've seen him advocate for things like more equality within like wrestling booking, Big E to be a world champion and better representation, and like that tells me that his heart's in the right place. I just don't always like how he goes about showing that. So but that's just me, and I'm sure people could say the same thing about me, and it would be deserved. So yeah, I mean, not trying to drag anybody.
I think we at least make an effort to make sure to kind of back everything up with, in my opinion, in my view, what I think, rather than saying like, yes, this is fact, and if you don't buy into this as fact, then you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would never want anybody to feel that way. Even people that I know, like that I'd probably vehemently disagree with, not just on wrestling, but on just like a lot of social issues.
Yeah.
It's just I want a space where we're all comfortable and having a good time, and that's what TWitWoW is about. And I'm grateful for the people, even in our chat right now, that make that happen. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We can move on to our next question.
Like the video for Happy Places.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was great.
Fourth and final question from Super Blue. Where should WrestleMania 35 take place? I think we already know that it is taking place at MetLife Stadium. So that's where it is taking place. As far as where it should take place, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, that's brand new and amazing.
Super Blue even added, because I just a note, guys, like I like when you guys give me your insights on things. It's not that I don't like it, but I never include them in the questions because that just like takes up unnecessary space. Super Blue did say that his top three places were Atlanta, Minneapolis, and St. Louis. And you know what? I'm going to agree with you about the Mercedes-Benz, Super. I think that'd be fucking cool. That'd be amazing visually. And so, yeah, I'm going to co-sign onto that with Atlanta. I think that's a great choice. So I think all three of us are in agreement there. That's pretty cool.
You can't say the Mercedes-Benz Superdome because that's where the Saints play their games in New Orleans. It's the Mercedes-Benz Stadium that's in Atlanta.
Oh, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. All right, yeah. I got you there. I got you.
Yeah, Mercedes-Benz is just in bed with interdivisional rivals. It's actually kind of disgusting.
Yeah, it is kind of disgusting. Oh my God, that breeding. Oh my God. But no, it's pretty cool that we all agree Atlanta. So nothing more you could say than that.
Right. That was it from Super Blue. We've got two questions from Cliff Amal. First up, what 10 people in wrestling would make your all-time shit list?
Oh God, 10? Can Can we just make it one of those questions where you and I trade off?
Yeah, we'll back and forth. I'll name one, then you name one. We'll get up to 10 combined.
Okay.
I'll go first. Jim Cornette. You go second. Who's next?
Michael Hayes.
Oh, that's a good one. Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Carlos Colon. Wasn't he the murderer?
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. See, this is where things get difficult because the gimmies are pretty much taken. I'm gonna kind of hop on the bandwagon that you started on Twitter and say Terry Bollea.
Oh, you saw that thread. Yeah, it's been getting quite an interesting response. Fabulous Moolah, because I know that's
God. I can't believe we didn't mention her earlier. Great call. I mean, I hate to do this to you, but Chris Benoit.
Hell, fair. I've never begrudged anything like that. To me, Conan never really.
Yes. Dude. That's a great answer.
Fuck you, Conan.
This list ranges. I love that this list ranges from legitimate, horrible human beings that are literal criminals and shouldn't be alive, or if they aren't dead, they shouldn't, or if they aren't alive, they probably should have spent their last years in a cell, like Moolah and Carlos Colon and shit, to just people that are just shitty people like Cornette and Conan.
Yeah, what number does that make it? Because we're actually breezing through this quicker than I thought.
Yeah, we both have 4, so we both have 1 left.
Awesome! Wow, that was quick.
My number 5 person. Let's see. Abdullah the Butcher, because he intentionally gave people HIV.
Wow, that's a good one. Now I kind of want to match your shittiness. But no, Alberto Del Rio. I think I'm gonna go with that.
I love it.
I fucking hate that dude, so he can go fuck himself.
All right. Second question from Cliff. This is just for you, John. What's your favorite solo video that you ever did back when you were just vocal aggression? Or before that, I'm assuming he's also extending that to pacifist.
You know, I actually really thought a lot about this, which I really credit you guys, because there were some Q&A questions where I'm like, oh, I really want to put my bag into these. Probably also to secretly impress Ashton, to be like, see, I can be creative too. But no, with this, I'm like, yeah, I ain't no bitch. I would say my Chris Benoit deserves All of Fame video, but honestly, I go back to that video sometimes and I cringe, because that should have been a better video than what it was. I liked it because, like, I always will be a Benoit fan on some level, unapologetically. If people want to drag me for it, I mean, that's their right. I don't hold it against them. But I was proud, to take that stand publicly. Hell, even I had trolls even saying, yo, man, I actually genuinely like your stuff, but this is too far. So, like, even when I get trolls to stop trolling, to be like, oh, are you okay? Like, that's really something. Is John all right? As pacifist, though, God, I think about certain solo videos I did. I did a SmackDown rant once, like SmackDown being a good product and Raw not, that I thought was great. God, you said when I was vocal aggression. Yeah, I really don't want to say the Benoit bit, because I don't think that that's really being honest. God, I'm trying to think about commentators that were like, man, this was fucking great that he did that. God, there had to have been like a review or something. I know I talked once about like AJ Styles winning the world title and what I could see going forward. That I was proud of that video. So yeah, like I did a few good solo videos, but I really feel like a lot of my best stuff has been in conjunction with Ashton as part of TWitWoW, to the point where I don't even really think about my vocal aggression or passive stuff much anymore. I'm just always thinking about the next great thing that we're going to be doing, like that commentary I'm going to give for Sakura Genesis, because I've been studying my ass off. So yeah, I'm just going to say that. Just really any kind of reaction that I did that wasn't like a Benoit thing. I remember I reacted to Morrison beating Ray for the Intercontinental title that I thought was great. Any kind of commentary I did, like on an NXT or a Raw or whatever. Actually, no, not NXT. It would just be Raw or SmackDown, because I feel like NXT was after like that whole period. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. So I think we can move on to our next question.
All right. Our next set of questions comes from Iconic Player One, who I know is in chat. First up, we've got a Lucha Underground Elimination Chamber. Who are the participants and how would it go down? And then he also said that he should have asked that last month. I don't know why.
Can I just go first, just so I can round these names off?
Yeah, I was going to say, though, I guess he wanted to ask it last month because that was when we were actually covering Lucha. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Eva Lise, Mil Muertes.
Yes.
Johnny Mundo.
Yes.
Marty the Moth.
I like it.
Taya.
Nice.
And honestly, just for the crazy shit and just for that kind of like narrative tension, well, actually, no, you'd need Pentagon Dark in there. Shit.
Why?
Fuck, because I'd want to make it for the championship. If we're gonna do a champ.
Well,
Well,
what if
actually,
it's for number one contender?
you could do number one contender. So yeah, I'll Jack Evans. Jack,
Yeah.
I think he'd be insane in a fucking.
So you're having the Worldwide Underground Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, pretty much, because I want that tension in there. Because I think by the time they would have something like that, like people would be looking at Johnny like, "Are you really that hot shit?" Be like, have you seen these abs?"
But John, you forgot PJ.
Well, yeah, but PJ, like, he's gonna win the title down the road, and I want to keep him healthy. Like, I don't want him using up his bump card on this shit.
Well, okay then, fine, whatever. I would do.
Although we could knock out Evil Lee. Yeah, you know what? Evil East, because I don't want her getting injured again, and I'm kind of scared. So yeah, we'll take her out. We'll put PJ in there. Yeah. And just
Okay.
Marty and Mill. Yeah, I actually really like that. So yeah, knock out Evil East, put in PJ. There you go. So now your chamber.
Mill, Cage,
Ooh,
Matanza.
Ooh, I love it already. It's so much better than mine. God, you have all the killers in there.
Mac.
Nice.
Marty, and Jeremiah Crane.
What? So you're going for like the bloodthirsty chamber? Like lives are gonna end in this thing.
Wasn't that the point of the elimination chamber, though?
I mean, no. I mean, here's the thing with Lucha Underground. When I say lives ending, that's a bit more literal, given who we have in the match. Which could be kind of cool. I mean, Jeremiah's spine getting ripped out by Matanza would be a sight to see. But no, I love your chamber, man. I think that's cool as shit.
That's just a lot of that's just a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Really, you could even replace Jeremiah with Vibora, but I want to see him get built up first.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, Lucha Underground has such a great roster. Like, you could do a multitude of combinations. Because, like, another chamber I would do would definitely have Killshot and Dante in there. Like, Killshot.
I was going to say, yeah, you could even have, like, a high-flying chamber where it could be, like, Killshot, Dante, Phoenix, Drago, Aerostar, and then, I mean, you mentioned Jack Evans. It could be him. It could be PJ. It could be, there's so many different options. It's great. Nightclaw. Bring Nightclaw back, damn it.
Yeah, like, can you imagine a Killer Instinct from the top of a pod? Like, holy shit. So yeah, man, I'm down with all this. Next question.
What was that, John? Hang on a second.
Okay, guys, Ashton's taking care of something, so I guess I'll just keep going. But yeah, the Lucha Underground Elimination Chamber question was a great question.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I just had something going on in the background. All right. So I think did you wrap up the LU Elimination Chamber stuff?
Oh yeah, I was just saying it was a great question because of the multitude of combinations, and then I asked you what our next question was.
Would you rather be physically and psychologically crippled beyond repair by Minoru Suzuki or Pentagon Dark?
Minoru Suzuki.
Definitely. Yeah. 100% agree with you.
Next.
Next, thoughts on the Punisher character, mainstream appeal, ideology, etc. And then he also used the hashtag Frank Castle is boss.
John Bernthal is Punisher as far as I'm concerned. He's fucking amazing. I like how ideologically it doesn't like endorse Frank Castle's means of vigilantism, which I know we see a lot on the Netflix shows, but his brand is like especially macabre and like very I know there's a word I'm looking for here, but I'm just gonna say gruesome since I can't think of the word that I want to use. I don't like that. I like that they don't.
Maybe sadistic.
Sadistic. There was another word that I was thinking of that just wasn't that.
Visceral.
I think it began, visceral, maybe. I think it began with a G. I'm not gonna stop pursuing it because it would take too long. But yeah, like I like how they don't openly like embrace it. And like you do see him at the end, like spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You do see him like at a session, like talking out his problems in the end, like finally opening up after his bout of vigilantism, which was, oh my God, the violence. I like the idea of the character. And I like that there is a Netflix hero that like isn't like, no, don't do this. He's like, no, if we don't do this, they're gonna get up again, and I really don't want to fucking deal with it. Eat lead. It's refreshing to me, honestly, that there's a hero that knows like there's reform, there's rehabilitation, and then there are those people that are not only aren't going to reform, that aren't going to be rehabilitated, but are just going to keep getting worse and keep being a problem. Put them down. And so, like from an aesthetic viewpoint, I really do appreciate the character and stuff like that. And yeah, I'd say it's a pretty cool character. And again, John Bernthal to me killed it. I love his representation to the point where I can't divorce him now from the Punisher character. So that's just me. What about you, Ashton?
No, I definitely agree with you on the point of John Bernthal literally just being Frank Castle at this point. I can't imagine anyone else playing that character anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
As far as like the ideology, I don't agree with it, but the point of it is that it's meant to be something that makes him more of an anti-hero than an actual hero.
Yeah.
He does good things for good people, but he also murders, which I have a problem with, which is what you're supposed to have a problem with. That's kind of the whole thing. Like that. That's like the whole, like, oh, this is what separates the good guys from the bad guys, is that the good guys want everyone to get a fair trial and they want, you know, justice rather than revenge and that kind of thing. So that's kind of, I appreciate that sort of conundrum, and I appreciate that they've created that sort of conundrum with the character, and I love that. And the Punisher series I thought was great, and John Bernthal just shouting the greatest time.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Absolutely.
Third question. That was a third question. So a fourth and final question from Iconic Player One. Oh Christ.
Oh, what is it?
It's a role play, John. It's a role play.
Oh, am I eating James's ass? What are we doing?
No. You're Johnny Goodfellow.
Oh.
And it's supposed to be Scott Steiner and Johnny Goodfellow having a discussion on the true meaning of friendship. You know what? He didn't even specify the roles. So do you want to flip it around and you can be Steiner and I'll be Johnny Goodfellow for once?
Could we do that?
I mean, it's not against the rules of the question. The question doesn't mention either way.
I'm just kind of looking with great trepidation around my room just to make sure that the universe won't come undone.
We don't have to. We can do the roles that we're probably meant to do.
Yeah, I mean, you do a much better Steiner than I do. That's another reason why I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. All right, let's make this quick.
Friendship. You know who my best friend of all time was, John?
Who is it, Scott?
It's my left bicep and my right bicep, and that's all I need because I'm the big bad booty daddy.
Scott, that doesn't really seem like an emotionally substantive friendship. Friendship is when you actually connect with people beyond your own little worldview.
And the closest thing I ever came to connecting with another person is when I'm looking at one of my freaks horizontal doing the horizontal dance in bed.
Okay, Scott, I'm very proud that you're proud of your upper body. I would appreciate if you didn't trample all over my words. I just feel like healthy friendships are ones where we can, you know, connect with other people and kind of broaden our world beyond working out because, believe it or not, Scott, there are things beyond biceps.
You know, there used to be a little guy that I used to know pretty well. I used to call him Little Petey. And we used to trade training tips a little bit. He taught me a little bit on how to broaden my pecs.
Well, then, you know what, Scott? I think that's a healthy relationship for you. And you know what? Maybe I'm a bit too judgmental and I need to look inward about what real friendship really is. Okay, let's end scene. Let's get on to the next question.
That's my mom clapping in the background, by the way. It's not me trying to jerk ourselves off over it.
Yeah, that's...
4 questions from the Green Ranger. Actually, it's not. He doesn't have anything about the Green Ranger in his name. His name is just Thomas Oliver. So naturally, Tommy Oliver was the name of the Green Ranger / White Ranger. And his first question was, with Bullet Club and Chaos and Suzuki Gun all having sort of a token British wrestler in them, which Brit would you like to see in LIJ? I've already kind of answered this actually in a previous, I don't know if it was a New Japan commentary or just a Q&A. Jimmy Havoc is the perfect fit for LIJ.
Yeah, I have to copy paste because you've said Jimmy Havoc and I love that idea. I can't even come up with anything better. The closest I would want to do is maybe Pete Dunne. But that's fucking it. Like Jimmy Havoc is LIJ for me. So I completely agree when you had that idea originally, and that has not changed. So copy paste. Next question.
All right. Second question from Thomas Oliver. With Lucha Underground versus Impact at WrestleMania weekend, would you like to see more Impact wrestlers in Lucha Underground? And what stories would you give them? And Thomas actually did specify for him personally, he likes the idea of Trevor Lee being an actual, literal, thought-out caveman or Congo Kong being brought to the temple in a wooden crate from some savage land or something like that.
Interesting. Okay. Personally, I'm kind of hoping we keep Impact and Lucha Underground separate. I mean, I'm down with it so long as it's genuinely helping Lucha Underground, but the way I see it right now, it's Impact that's getting more of the help. Yep. I really don't know what Lucha Underground's getting out of it because I don't know how many eyes Impact even has on its own product that it could bring to Lucha. But let's say that there is an ideal scenario where it actually is a mutually beneficial partnership. Impact wrestlers that I would like to see in like Lucha Underground, like storylines. I don't even watch the product enough to really say anything. But I think I saw one like video clip, and I hopefully Jackie's still in chat because maybe she could help me. I've seen Laurel Van Ness, and she had a unique look where like her lipstick was smeared and stuff. So is she like more of like an unhinged character? Does anybody even know what her character is?
She got left at the altar and had a psychological break, and she's now known as Hot Mess Van Ness, but she also left TNA. Pretty sure she got signed with NXT recently.
Okay, well, that Hot Mess Van Ness character, I think would actually work well in a Lucha Underground scheme. Like, I could actually see her having, like, a very unhealthy, almost like Joker and Harley romance with Marty the Moth. And, like, that would be something I'd like to do with those two. So that's the best answer I can give, and I'm really not trying to cop out. I mean, honestly, be thankful I was able to give you one, because I really don't watch Impact enough to give an answer. So I'm going to say Hot Mess Van Ness with Marty the Moth as the Joker and Harley of Lucha Underground.
That's really good. I really like that.
Yes. If you liked it, that's all that matters. Yes. So now you go. Pressure's on
what? Because I don't know the TNA roster very well, I'm going to pull up the TNA roster page on ImpactWrestling.com. I mean, I already know for a damn fact, that I want Trevor Lee in Lucha Underground. As far as character, though, I think we should flip the script.
Okay.
Trevor Lee, a rich white boy from Tennessee or from South Carolina, or I think he's from South Carolina, who grew up with money. He wears suits all the time, but he still has that goofy ass caveman accent, that silly, like hard Southern drawl that he actually does have in real life. So he kind of sounds like a basic kind of Southerner, but then like he's got the suit on, and obviously you get to script his lines for him, so you can make him say smart shit with that stupid accent.
Right.
And then obviously when he gets in the ring, he's just this dominant, amazing performer. And let's put him in the Deer Tribe. So occasionally he might team up with King Cuerno, because nothing is cooler than the juxtaposition of a rich guy in a suit teaming up with a literal hunter. That's cool to me. Yeah,
that is fucking awesome. I love that, dude. Hell yeah.
They can call themselves the Trophy Hunters.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm digging
Maybe even team up with Tejano. There's something going on there.
Okay.
So that's what I would do with Trevor Lee. Just completely flip the script, because everyone sees Trevor Lee, the Carolina caveman. He's this dumb Southern boy who can't think, but he can wrestle his ass off. Make him someone that can think. Make him someone that comes from money and is smart and that kind of stuff. Basically, give him the Sean Devari gimmick from season 1, except it's a way more talented in-ring performer, so it could actually work.
Yeah, dude, I love that answer. I think that's freaking great. So next question.
Well, I wasn't done, actually. I also want Abyss, because Abyss is amazing. But mostly what I want to say is keep Impact out of my Lucha. But if I had to have anyone in Impact in my Lucha, it would be Trevor Lee and possibly Abyss.
Interesting. I would be more enthusiastic about Abyss if we went back a couple of years. These days, I feel like Abyss has kind of become a joke character, but if anybody could kind of revive him and give him back credibility, I do think it could be Lucha. Like, if it was when I started watching TNA, which I want to say was like 06, 07, Abyss would have been fucking great for the brand, I think. But now I'm a bit tentative, but, writing's everything. So I really do appreciate those answers. Absolutely. And agree with you. Keep Impact out of my Lucha. I like my Lucha nice and pure. No outside promotions looking to leech all of its success. So there you go.
And then the other thing, I also want Allie, a.k.a. Cherry Bomb, from in Lucha Underground, because she's
good choice. Yeah.
All right, third question from Thomas Oliver. If Andrade Cien Almas was creating his own version of Los Ingobernables in NXT/WWE, who would be in it? You and I actually had a really brief discussion about somebody that I think would be a really good candidate for this in WWE that most people would overlook, and that's Bayley. I want Bayley as this jaded, like, I gave the fans everything and they just rejected me character with Andrade and Zelina. Obviously, Zelina still does all the talking, but she can speak for Bailey too. And it also fits because Bailey is Hispanic. So that fits in with that crowd as well. And then let's also toss in the other two kind of primary luchadors that we know of that got a shot on the main roster and never really got over, Kalisto and Sin Cara. That's my LIJ of WWE.
Let me ask you something, because I like your answers. Would you have Sin Cara because we know it's really Hunico, unmask and go back to being Hunico?
That would be, yes, absolutely, yes. That's amazing.
Yeah, because I feel like the aesthetic he had as Hunico fits more with like an Americanized LIJ to me. Alex Foster,
I wouldn't even give him the same look. I would almost want him to have more of like a Sin Cara Negro, like the black version of Sin Cara back before when we had the two different Sin Caras and one of them was black and one of them was blue. I want that Sin Cara black look.
Ooh, okay. I'm guessing you would. Would you like alter the look any, like, of the mask? Like, would you make it like more like, say, like a Bushi mask where you can like see the
exactly and stuff? Bushi. Yes, you nailed it with the Bushi thing. Yeah, give him like the demon look. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, man, I'm digging it, man. I'm feeling you. Yeah, I can't really think about anybody better that would like fit that kind of LIJ led by Andrade than what you said. I really, really love that. So I think I'll just kind of go with that. If anything, maybe swap out Kalisto with Mustafa Ali, because I've seen Mustafa like give like talking promos and stuff like on Twitter, and he actually does have a very like unique voice to me.
The thing with Mustafa though is I feel like he's really over among the 205 Live audience. Like he's already that dude.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I think I would just stick with the faction that you put forth, because I really can't think of any worthwhile substitutes for anybody. And so yeah, I think we'll go with that. And next question.
You can even use the Colognes in that too, because those are another couple of guys that are great wrestlers that have never gotten a fair shake in WWE.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Fourth and final question from Thomas. Which British wrestlers would you like to see in New Japan? And then he added that he would like to see CCK in New Japan. CCK is a Progress tag team that everyone loves that we haven't gotten to see yet.
Okay. I guess Pete Dunne, because I really love how he works. He's absolutely vicious. So I think Pete Dunne would be my big answer. And I really haven't looked too much at the British wrestling scene. I mean, I'm loving what ZSJ is doing right now, and obviously Marty and Will. So yeah, I think for me, like Pete Dunne, and honestly, in some ways, I'd say maybe even Pete's the best of the bunch, because like he's not just like, as much as I adore Zach, like he's not just submissions and like the wrist control and stuff. Like he obviously does have that more like, I guess, like Americanized style with like the Orange Crush and the bitter end and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd love to see Pete in New Japan. I'd love to see him in a G1, actually. I think that'd be really fucking cool. So what about you, Ashton? Who's your pick?
I have two answers.
Okay.
Jimmy Havoc, obviously, because I want him in LIJ.
Right.
And Big Daddy Walter in a G1 Climax.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know Walter was British. Yeah, I would definitely sign on to Walter. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, he's another Progress guy. He's in Progress.
Damn, I can't wait to see that shit. So yeah, I guess next question.
All right, we've got 3 questions from Stella J. First up, when, if ever, do you see Candice LeRae becoming NXT Women's Champion, or at the very least getting a shot at the NXT Women's Championship?
I'm going to say Brooklyn 4 for me.
That's actually a really, I'm going to have to sign on to that. That's the spot on, because I think she's going to get a match with Zelina at TakeOver New Orleans. She's going to win that. She might get another high-profile match. Honestly, she might even get a shot before then. She might get a shot as early as whatever TakeOver is going to be between New Orleans and Brooklyn 4. That's a possibility. I'm hoping that's Dakota Kai, though. So based on the fact that I think it's going to be Dakota Kai in the middle one, I'm going to agree with you. Sign on completely. Brooklyn 4 is the perfect time. And I don't even know if I would say that it'll just be a shot. She might full-blown go all the way and win the damn thing.
Oh, absolutely. Anything's
we might get a Gargano family dynasty of Brooklyn 4 where Johnny defeats whatever the world champion is and Candice wins the women's championship in the same night on Brooklyn. Yes.
Oh, you have hope. That's precious. Johnny's still unemployed. He's Johnny jobless, and he's never getting his
Oh
job
yeah, you
back.
say that until he beats Champa in like 9 days.
He's not gonna beat the superior performer. That's that don't
Oh,
be
that
absurd.
never happens, right?
All right. Well, I think you and I are going to have far more playful banter about it next Thursday when we do takeover preview predictions. But in the meantime, next question.
Next question, just for you, John. Do you have any other travel plans this year, or was your trip to Colorado it?
No, I'm actually going to Michigan in May from the 16th to the 18th. I've got a workshop because they really liked my my abstract for the Colorado conference that they wanted me to come and contribute to this new journal that's kind of being launched. I'm working with a friend of mine on a fiction story. God, I've got so many projects. I can't wait to be free of them all. But I'm actually looking forward to that one because it is a collaborative project. Should be really cool. I can't believe I've done this much flying in 1 year. I can't believe I've done this much flying, period. So I'm really excited about it. Michigan should be beautiful too because it's May and it'll be nice. And God, fuck this New England winter, and I can't wait for spring to come here too. So yeah, I'm quite excited about it. Should be fun.
All right. Third and final question from Stella is just for me. I know it's probably been a while since you listened to it, but what is/are your favorite songs off of Camila Cabello's solo album? Well, I think that the best song on the entire album is Never Be the Same. That's going to go down as one of the best songs of the year, period. It's freaking incredible. And I think my favorite song that hasn't really been like a hit single that I know of is Consequences. That's a damn good song. I love that song. And obviously Havana is going to end up being a classic just because of how crazy popular that's been. But I'm not the biggest fan of that song. I think it's just because I feel like it's been played out so much because I play it and it's on the radio and it's all over YouTube. And it's just one of those songs that's just got overexposed to me. But it's still a good song the first, 100, 150 times you hear it. So that's that.
All right.
We've got 4 questions from Mark Schoeneman. First up for both of us. When was the last time WrestleMania really felt like WrestleMania and not just a show where they cram all their performers on the card for the sake of it?
Yeah, what he actually asked, because again, this is another question that I had to truncate. In fact, I truncated, I think, all of Mark's questions just to fit. He said, when was the last time Mania felt like Mania? As in, these matches, for the most part, are the best ones we can possibly put on, given what we have, instead of them just throwing as many people on the card as they could. And I thought this was an interesting question because I thought back to Mania's past, and I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I ended up going over to a friend's house and watching this with him. I thought Mania 24 was a pretty solid Mania. I didn't think that was a bad Mania. Mania 25, I've heard good things, save for the main event of Orton Triple H. Maybe even Mania 30 was the last one. But I feel like that was more about the main event than the undercard. But I don't remember the undercard being bad either. And I remember we were all really feeling good that night. So I'm torn between like 24 or 30, since those kind of like hold certain emotional significance for me. But I think I'm going to go 30 because the big thing with 24, I think, was Taker winning the world title, which that was fine. But 30 was the big Daniel Bryan story. So, yeah, I don't think you'd have to go back that far, Mark. I think WrestleMania 30 kind of does it, at least in my mind. What about you, Ashton? Where's your mind coming out with this?
I'm actually, you said 30, and that was more just 3 matches on the entire card just felt huge and like these amazing payoffs. I'm going to go a little less recent than 30, but more recent than 24. I'm going to say 28, believe it or not, because the main event was Rock Cena, which whether you like the match or not, it's the fucking Rock coming back to wrestle and main event WrestleMania, for Christ's sake. Semi-main was Punk Jericho, and that was Jericho in his "it will be the end of the world as you know it" character, and that had been built up too because Jericho did the whole "it's the end of the world as you know it." Punk was "I'm the best in the world." Jericho was "I'm the best in the world at what I do." Punk was the champion. Jericho kept on saying like Punk, and that was also the whole feud where Jericho like poured beers on Punk and shit. Like there was a lot in that feud that felt very like WrestleMania worthy. That was also, whether you like the match or the result or not, Team Johnny versus Team Teddy for control of Raw and SmackDown, where Eve Torres turned on Zack Ryder. That was WrestleMania. Big Show Cody Rhodes culminated on that show. That was this big thing where Big Show never had his WrestleMania moment, and the whole match was built around that. And he finally got the WrestleMania moment, beat Cody Rhodes in 5 minutes. We also got 17 seconds, Sheamus Daniel Bryan on that show, and the biggest one of them all, the end of an era match. Triple H, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, Shawn Michaels in the cage with them as the referee. So really, I think 28 really is the last time we got a true almost every match feels like a WrestleMania quality match kind of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I actually really like how you went about that. So that's some good shit, and we can move on.
All right. Well, up next, our second question from Mark. Do you think that Battle Royals, the two Battle Royals at WrestleMania, should just be named after the male and female Hall of Fame headliners of that year? That's an interesting way to do it. I think that'd be cool, but I think the problem then is less with like what the name of it is and more with like the lineage of it. Because I think when you say the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, that's got that lineage to it where it's like, okay, this is a Battle Royal dedicated to the biggest like superstar in the history of the sport, Andre. And you can kind of think back of like, you know, Cesaro and then Big Show and then Corbin and then fucking Mojo, but you get the idea. So I think giving it that person, that one singular person, kind of makes it feel like more of a big deal, whereas just calling it basically like the Hall of Fame Men's Battle Royal or the Hall of Fame Women's Battle Royal, whether like this year, who are the headliners this year, John? The male and the female headliners this year. Male would be who?
Yeah, male. Fuck me.
It's not the Dudleys because they're not like the headline.
No, isn't it Goldberg?
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, like Goldberg is getting inducted this year.
So we're gonna call it the Goldberg Memorial Battle Royal. See, and that's the other thing too is I don't like that memorial word because that implies that whoever is being named after this Battle Royal is dead. Like Andre.
Yeah.
So you can call it the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. Moolah was dead, so even though she's a cunt, you can still call it a memorial for her. But you can't do that with people that are still alive and in the Hall of Fame, and that's a big reason why it wouldn't work. And even if you want to take the word memorial out of there, just call it the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, or in this year's case, the Goldberg Battle Royal. That also kind of creates some issues where a lot of the people going into the Hall of Fame aren't necessarily associated with Battle Royals. I don't think Goldberg ever won a Royal Rumble. I don't even know if he ever won a World War III in WCW. So I don't think that's a good idea, no.
Well, after that argument, I was originally going to say yes, but then you make some very persuasive points. Yeah, I mean, I like the creativity of how Mark came at the question, but I'm going to have to agree with you. I mean, I think things are fine as they are, especially now that they redirected with that whole Moolah fiasco and they're just calling it the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. We're just going to have to wait for somebody with less skeletons in their closet to die before we can really kind of fancy it up a little bit. But, yeah, I'll pretty much assent to what you said there. I agree. So next question from Mark.
You know who the perfect choice would have been?
Who's that?
Mildred Burke.
Yeah, that's what the Catch Wrestling Twitter was saying a lot too. Give Mildred Burke the Battle Royal and this and that. Because I heard she fought a lot of men too. Because her manager.
Yeah, well, and I mean, as far as the actual wrestling goes, she trained Moolah.
Yeah. So the OG motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
But WWE just be like, but she never made us money, so no.
Exactly.
All right. Third question from Mark. Has WrestleMania become more about crazy entrances than matches and stories?
Yes and no, I think. I think WrestleMania banks more on, like, in some ways. I don't want to say in all ways and commit hyperbole, but I think in some ways they bank on, but look at how cool our stadium is, kind of thing, than really putting all their effort into the actual in-ring product. And, yeah, so I wouldn't say not entirely, but, yeah, I do think it could be a bit superficial with the aesthetic where they're like, oh, we'll just coast on this and we'll coast on all the pyro at the end because people love pyro, right? That we're giving specifically to Roman Reigns to drown out the booze. So what do you think, Ashton?
Yeah, I feel like I've personally even gotten to the point where I try and convince myself in my head, like, don't expect WrestleMania to be the same kind of event as Wrestle Kingdom. It's not anymore. WrestleMania is more. I feel like we have to think of WrestleMania more as like a press tour than an actual wrestling event because it's like they're trying more to sell people on, hey, this is so much fun. You like this? You're having fun. You should stick around. Than, hey, this wrestling is sure good. You probably are gonna like this match, because that doesn't stick. Like, people that aren't wrestling fans aren't going to become wrestling fans because of a wrestling match, but they might become a wrestling fan because of some fun thing that happened on the show, which is kind of what WrestleMania is about nowadays. It's the ultimate Vince McMahon / Kevin Dunn philosophy. It's all about the moments that we create, damn it.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from there for sure.
So that's kind of where I am. Fourth and final question, though, from Mark is for Johnny Scumbag. Oh, this is going to be good. Cut a promo on WWE pretending to care about women's wrestling, then putting their best women in a battle royal at WrestleMania.
You know, I am so thankful that I have been called to rant about this because, I mean, as the name implies, I'm a scumbag. I really don't give a fuck about any of you, and I'd push you all in front of a train given the first opportunity. But it really does grind my gears when people don't own their scumminess. I mean, if you hate women, just say it. If you want to push that guy in front of a train, just do it. I'm not serving your life sentence. You know, but the people that masquerade is like, no, it's a good thing. We're progressive. I mean, you disingenuous sacks of shit. Like, you've got Sasha and Bailey. Now, I know that there are some people like my girl Asia, and yeah, I said my girl. Scumbag can have friends. She's evil. I'm evil. We're on the same page. It feels pretty good. She, said, oh, they can build to a greater story, and I respect that. But whoever said that WrestleMania couldn't be the starting point of a feud? I mean, I think about one of my favorite feuds. Eddie and Ray, when Eddie rightfully told Ray, hey, you're a shit father. In fact, you're not even a father because that's my progeny. And that pretty much started at Mania because, Eddie wanted to see if he could beat Ray. He didn't beat Ray, and it started a psychological downward spiral that ended in him being just a magnificent heel. I mean, we did play cards together, exchange tips. It was a good time. So there's nothing wrong with WrestleMania being a starting point. And the idea that Sasha and Bailey don't get that starting point, I'll be honest, it's kind of a fucking crock, to be truthful. And really just the broader scheme of, we care about women, this and that, but you still don't even treat them like people. Like, I mean, the one thing that me and the good fellow actually agree on, which, is when they announced the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, you'd think if it was a men's thing, you'd have a big brawl everywhere, and people would be going in the crowd, and tables would be shattered, and all these women are brawling in the ring, and Stephanie, because, I mean, obviously she never knew what a vibrator was, so she has to masturbate using other methods, her music hits, and just everybody's looking at her transfixed like, mother of God, this is the freshest track in 2017. So she comes out, and she's like, we gotta make history again. And they're just all still looking stupid like, what are we gonna get, Steph? You're gonna get your own Royal Rumble. Oh my God, I know I was punching you in the face 2 seconds ago, but girl, I am so happy for you and for us. Oh my God, shut up. Jesus fucking Christ. If I wanted to see this kind of camaraderie, I'd reach Sisterhood of the fucking Traveling Pants, which, by the way, they all should have died of brain tumors if I was writing it, which would have made an infinitely superior novel. But no, then they just all raise arms in the end like, we did it. We slayed the patriarchy. Sexism is over in the WWE. We're liberated, ladies. We did it. You didn't do fuck all. You're just a promotional tool. If anything, your objectification has become even more malicious because they've packaged it and sold it to you as liberation. And that's just sad. You want liberation, you want progress, be treated like the men. Have storylines that don't involve fat shaming or even just the base motivations of championships. Look, I like a good championship story. But if women are to truly be equal, and this is me as a scumbag, I fucking hate you people. But if women are to be people, shouldn't we accept the premises, or the premises, if you will, that they're nuanced, that they have depth, that they have motivations and thoughts and feelings and ambitions, and these ambitions run contrary to other people, because isn't that, in essence, what a society is? And we could tell that story with these women, but no, we don't. All the stories are as superficial as the lipstick they tell you to buy to be beautiful, or the bra they tell you to wear to be sexy. But sexy for who? Because if it's not for you, then what's it worth? And it's the same thing with these storylines. Oh, you're inspiring my little girl. Inspiring her to do what? To just be the same thing for a certain cause, for a certain profit that they're probably not even going to get to see because the wage gap is still a thing. I mean, I
Dude,
love it.
I saw a list of the women's salaries, and Stephanie makes like 4 times any actual female wrestler.
Yeah. And you know, that's the thing. If you're not going to truly care about these women, then don't insult me and don't insult them as much as I love it if I'm answering this question in this way by making them feel like they matter because they don't. And to be quite honest, I am that guy that believes that if you're a sexist or racist or whatever, own it. Because I find you far less dangerous than the person that lies in the grass waiting to stab me or anybody in the back. And that's what this company is. Always lying in the grass, waiting to stab people in the back, not with a blade, but with exploitation to make their profits, to fatten their pockets, so that they can go, ironically enough, and support people like Trump, who I know they're friends with, that are the furthest thing from progressive when it comes to women. So, no, WWE, don't you fucking call it a revolution or remove the R and call it an evolution or make any kind of word salad you want about it, because all it is grade A bullshit and you're talking out both sides of your ass, which you've always done. But now you've just finally decided to give that attention to women, and that's just the worst kind of egalitarianism. So, fuck off. And that's my rant.
Oh, and the other thing I saw was that apparently Charlotte makes more than any of the other horsewomen, and Natalia makes more than any of them.
Oh, well, that's pretty sickening. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Great rant though. I definitely enjoyed it. And up next, we've got 3 questions from Ella. First up, what is your most prized physical possession, not counting utilities like cars?
Definitely my Oxford Guide to Philosophy that Christy and Chris got me one year. That's like my Bible because it has like all the philosophical concepts. Now, granted, it's a bit Eurocentric. It doesn't have a lot on like Japanese or African or Indian philosophy or anything like that. But it is like the ultimate research resource for a lot of the writings that I deal with, which is why it works, because my writings are more in the European tradition. So if I ventured out, I would just get other stuff. But yeah, it meant so much to me that they got that for me. And that, to me, is what like a Bible is to your prototypical Christian. So definitely my most prized possession because it just signifies so much. What about you?
So
What's your
when she says no utilities, are computers considered utilities?
I wouldn't say they are.
Then definitely my laptop.
Yeah, that's fair enough, for sure.
Yeah. I could fit your Oxford book on philosophy inside my laptop a few million times over.
I have a PDF version of it, so we already had the same brainchild.
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question from Ella. Would you rather be deaf or blind?
I always feel like I'm a more like visual guy, so I guess I'd say deaf.
Oh Christ, this is really hard for me because I fucking love music, man.
Oh, that's true too. Shit.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know what though? Deaf people can still feel music. Like you can feel the way that it like vibrates and stuff. So, and I can't imagine not being able to see. Like I have a weird thing with my eyes, and I can't. I just can't. I have to pick deaf, even though I love music.
Yeah, I'm gonna go deaf as well.
That's a tough one though. I would really rather not be either, but if I had to pick, I would have to go deaf because I feel like I say "ha" enough already. It wouldn't really make that much of a difference.
Right.
What's a belief / opinion you used to have that you had a complete change of heart on? Ooh, I like this.
Yeah, see, I was gonna read something based on this because I wanted to come armed with something before answering this question, but I just didn't have time today because my day was a bit crazy. I still want to read the article though. I've changed my opinion on trigger warnings where I used to be like really averse to them and be like, that's fucking stupid. But I've learned that issues are far more nuanced than how they're presented in the mainstream. So I've actually become more pro trigger warning over time. I'd like to go a bit more in depth in that, but I don't really think this is the space.
Oh, it absolutely is, dude. Go for it. I'm curious.
I mean, because to me, like I look at it more. And now, do I think people abuse it? Yes, but in my honest opinion, I feel like people abuse a lot of concepts that actually have a lot of good in them, and they hyperbolize them to make them look bad. I look at trigger warnings, especially in my time in disability studies, as an accessibility issue. particularly with people with mental health and trauma issues, such as rape and PTSD and those sorts of things. And why I say accessibility is, when we do that, when we make that concession, we're allowing them to partake in what I would call the goods of civic society, in particular higher education, because I know that's where the trigger warning debate really seems to be centered. And so when we say no to trigger warnings, to me, on a more nuanced level, and again, there was a study done, and that's what I wanted to read because it was a very recent study. I haven't had a chance to read it, so I can't comment on it. Maybe next month I will for Q&A if we follow up on this again. But I look at it more as, we do this for you because we want this to be a space where you can partake in these goods too, and that, you're respected and that your humanity is kind of recognized in that way. So yeah, I think accessibility is a huge issue in the disability community, and disability is very nuanced. It's physical, it's mental, it's, all these things. So looking at it from that perspective, rather than just the op-eds that you see, that's like, oh, we need to defend dangerous ideas. As somebody noted, it's not that these people don't want to engage dangerous ideas. It's that they just want to know, like, to brace themselves, to ready themselves psychologically. It's like, in a weird way, and I don't mean to trivialize it by this example. It's just, I always work in weird parallels. It's just how my mind works. It's like when I told you that I had a bad dose of those pot cookies. Like, I can enjoy pot when I know how much I'm taking and what it is.
Right, yeah.
But, like, if I'm not psychologically braced for it, it's going to be fucking awful. The same way that somebody that's a survivor of rape could enjoy Greek literature that has many colorful depictions of such a thing, but you should just let them know that it's coming, because then they can brace for it and be ready for it. But then when they read it, it's like, oh shit, I didn't see this coming. So I didn't mean to trivialize it by using that example. That's just like my language. And
I honestly kind of look at it as like the NSFW or NSFL warning. Like,
Ashton, exactly. And that's
why it's just a way of letting you know, like, if you really want to see this, you can, but this is what you can expect.
Yeah. And exactly, dude. Exactly. In fact, I'm going to stop because, you pretty much got it. And I feel like, it's not that hard. I know some people are like, oh, they want all these universities to do all this. I don't even really think it'd be that much work. I think you'd just be like, oh, hey, we're reading this, and oh, heads up, it's got this. So if anybody needs to talk to me after class, like, that's it. And then you work on it on an individual level. I don't see it. And that's another thing too, is just a quick side note. I love that all these people, it's like, oh, this is part of a cultural Marxist plot. I'm a fucking leftist. I don't even know what cultural Marxist is. I highly doubt you fucking know what it is. But that's just me. I'm curious though, where you're coming from with this. Cause I know we've talked about some things before.
Dude.
Yeah.
My answer is everything that I thought before I was like 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
I grew up in like a conservative Christian household, and when I was in high school I hung out with conservative Christian friends, and I would say the only thing about me that really hasn't changed since my high school days is my skepticism, because even then I was always asking questions. The difference is, back then, if I wasn't satisfied with the answer, I just let it go. Whereas now, if I'm not satisfied with the answer, I keep pressing. That's how I am now. But I really, like, before college, I had like sort of, I would call it like a really light, really casual, barely there kind of Christianity, where I believed in God and I believed in some of the biblical stuff. And one of my good friends was the son of a pastor, so I had kind of asked him certain questions, and they weren't like, I didn't want like life advice on like how the godly way to live would be or anything like that. It was more like, oh, hey, what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? What does the Bible say? Like, how did this actually? It was more skepticism than genuine, like, I buy in, now tell me how I can do things the right way. It was more like, I'm not sure if I buy in, but maybe if you give me a good enough answer, I'll be closer to buying in. So it was still, even then, I always met religion with a healthy skepticism. And then I went to college and started paying attention to like George Carlin and more like worldwide shit. And that just got thrown completely out the window. I went through a phase where I probably would have identified more as a libertarian, kind of like you at the one point. And now I don't even know what my sort of political alignment would be considered. I don't think that it really, I don't even know if it's a thing. I don't know if there's a proper name for it. I would love to find a name for it, but I don't know if there is one.
Brother,
And
I gotta tell you, not to cut you off, but like you saying that, I've kind of had a similar crisis as of late because after that democracy paradox that I told you about and that you saw me kind of talk about in the Discord, like I've even been questioning my leftist views. Not even necessarily like I'm going back to like being pro-capitalist or anything like that, but like, would that arrangement really be any better? Like, would that resolve the tension in like political organizations? You know what I mean? So like, I've kind of even had a similar crisis where I think I have to like go back to the well again and kind of reassess. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of a piecemeal kind of guy. You know what I mean? And I feel like you've always kind of struck me as that.
yeah, like, and that's another big thing too over the last few years is that even like in college and first coming out of college, I think I would have been a lot more okay with censorship as long as it protected me from having to see or hear things that I didn't like. And now I'm just like, fuck everything about censorship, censor nothing, illegalize nothing, legalize everything. Like, if it's bad enough that it shouldn't be legal, people are probably going to end up being smart enough not to do it in the first place. Like, I'm very, very much leaning in that direction. But at the same time, I'm very pro regulation. I'm very pro like government setting up an economical safety net for the poor. So like I really am like I'm very much left on a lot of things, and I'm pretty far right on some things too. So it's really just my brain is a confusing place, and I don't really know how to how to consolidate, how to justify everything, but it makes sense in my brain. And if we had a discussion on any given issue, I have a lot of information that I can talk about, but there's also a lot of stuff that I have a general idea of that if you really challenge me on it, I would have to spend a few hours doing a lot of research to really arrive at a solid conclusion on. That I just don't bother because no one really challenges on me on it, and why bother it unless the situation comes up. So yeah, like really, I am a completely and totally different person now than I was when I was like 17, even like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can even tell you, I mean, if I'm being truthful, like I've even kind of changed my views, and it's funny because you're still like anti all censorship, everything. I've kind of changed my views on censorship a little bit as well, because I used to be that way, and I would say that I'm not that way anymore. So that's another big thing that I feel like.
And that's another thing too, where like when I was a teenager, like I would say 13 to fuck man, like literally just all the way up to like 19, I was very much there's a right and wrong answer to everything, and there's good music and there's bad music, and there are good movies and bad movies and that kind of stuff. And if you like something that I think is a bad thing, then you're stupid or you have worse like taste than me or something like that. And I've kind of grown to disagree with that stance. And I've kind of gotten to the point that like people are going to like what people like. And I don't think that there's really necessarily anything that is objectively bad or objectively good. It's just a matter of who and how many people agree on it being good or bad that kind of determines the general consensus of whether it's good or bad. And that
Right.
like, I'm sure to me, one of the best movies of all time is The Big Lebowski, but I know that there are people that don't like it. And
Right.
if you would have said that to me when I was 18 years old, I would be like, fuck those people. Those people don't matter. I don't need to talk to those people. They're awful. But now I'm just like, I mean, yeah, of course there are people that don't like it. That makes sense. because it's art, and art isn't meant to have an objective meaning to it. It's meant to be interpreted by the person looking at it or taking it in or consuming it in whatever way that they're consuming it. And I think that that's kind of honestly, that's partially because of wrestling, because wrestling has helped me to realize like not everybody likes Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, and I don't think that it's something that you should see as like a horrible negative thing like Jim Cornette does. But if you don't like it, then I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. But if you do like it, I don't think anyone should tell you that you're wrong for that either.
Right. Right.
It's the whole mentality of you don't like what I like, and therefore you suck. Like,
yeah.
With that and I used to be like that. That used to be me. If you didn't like what I liked, I didn't like you. And to think that like the type of music that you listen to defined who you were as a person. Like if somebody would like say something to somebody about how like, oh, you are like a fake gangster, and they would say, yeah, but I listen to like this real rap music and I dress like one, I'd be like, yeah, that person's got a point. They're a real gangster. And it's like, it makes no sense, but that's how I used to think. I used to think that like the media and the stuff that you kind of partook in and like the music you consumed and that kind of stuff determined the content of your character. And that obviously I've grown out of that, and I know that it's not even close to true.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so much more we could say about this, but we do have other questions. But kudos to Ella for once again drawing out the profundity in the Q&A. She's always the one that seems to do that. Like, why is that? God damn it. But next question, I guess.
We got 4 questions from Thomas on Twitter, and it's not.
Oh yes, this is actually a new Q&A guy. His full name is Thomas Buckner on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not the same Thomas as earlier. That was Thomas Oliver. This is Thomas Buckner. But first question, what would your WrestleMania card look like using only cartoons?
Okay.
I mean, the main event obviously has to be Tom versus Jerry, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then, you know what? Actually, the main event should probably be Hanna-Barbera versus Disney. So let's do the face of the companies versus each other. Bugs Bunny versus Mickey Mouse.
I'm down with that.
That's the main event. And then the undercard, the semi-main event would be Tom versus Jerry. We would have to do, let's see, how about Daffy Duck versus Donald Duck? That's an easy one. Help me out here, John. Help me out.
No, what I wanted to do, the one match I wanted to put forward is Fred versus Barney in a ladder match for a box of Fruity Pebbles. So, like, you know, because he's always
no, it wouldn't be for a box of Fruity Pebbles. It would be for a contract where the winner gets to make their brand of Pebbles the one that gets produced more and sold more. So if Fred wins, it's Fruity. If Barney wins, it's Cocoa.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's the match I wanted.
For Pebbles cereal brand supremacy.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
I mean, we got to fit Michael Jordan onto the card, right? Let's do like Michael Jordan versus Marvin Martian.
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
We can't do a cartoon movie involving Looney Tunes without having Michael Jordan because he was in Space Jam. He was the star of Space Jam.
Right.
Running out quick. Foghorn Leghorn has to be in a match. Because he, like, if I had to pick any cartoon to be a wrestler, he'd probably be my #1 draft pick because he's a big son of a bitch. So let's do Foghorn Leghorn versus, I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, Christ. Who is, oh, my
Elmer Fudd's the hunter, if you're looking for
the other one. Elmer Fudd's rival with the red mustache.
Oh, Yosemite Sam?
Yeah, that's what it'll be. I'll say it's going to be a Foghorn Leghorn versus Yosemite Sam.
Given that the Smurfs have kind of come back in popularity, I kind of want to have Gargamel and one of the Smurfs in a match, and if the Smurf loses, they get melted down into gold.
Ooh, I like that. We could just do, I mean, you know,
let's do Gargamel versus Papa Smurf in a boiler room brawl, and then you can literally boil him if he loses to a bar of gold.
What's the name of the female Smurf?
Smurfette
would be Papa Smurf's corner.
Okay.
She would probably cause a distraction roll up for Papa Smurf so that we can keep the race alive.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh God, James, yes. The Foghorn Leghorn theme song. Well, it's a foghorn. That's amazing. People are already talking about different cartoons. I was thinking like Saturday morning cartoons. We've got people talking about like Pikachu versus Agumon, like the face of Pokemon versus the face of Digimon. Plankton versus Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. That's kind of dumb because Mr. Krabs just steps on him and he wins, and that kills Plankton, and that's kind of a bad thing. Here's an interesting one. Let's do Courage the Cowardly Dog in a handicap match against Cow and Chicken.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah, and I mean, since we're talking early 2000s, late 90s Cartoon Network, we have to have another handicap match here. Johnny Bravo versus the Powerpuff Girls.
Ooh, that would be great.
Yeah, you know what? We can even make that like a stipulation match. Like, let's do like a Texas bull rope match where Johnny Bravo has one of his wrists tied to all 3 Powerpuff Girls at the same time.
Damn, that'd be savage. Yeah, I'm down with this. I'm friends with this.
All right. Dexter from Dexter's Lab versus the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh, I thought you were going to have him finally square away his beef with Mandark, though.
No, I don't. I'm kind of over the like within the same show. I want to
You
extend.
want to do like cross show
Yeah,
like
yeah,
warfare.
exactly. Let's do oh, I'm trying to okay. Let's talk about the battle for the supremacy of the blonde side character Helga Pataki versus Dee Dee from Dexter's Lab.
Oh, damn, that's intense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Um God, I am running out so quick. Um, we could do Real Monsters versus Rocco's Modern Life in a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match.
Okay. Let me think.
Let's oh Angry Beavers versus Ren and Stimpy. Yes.
If you're doing like, because you not only want to do different shows, like you want to do, well, is different shows within the same universe okay? Like if I do two different Nickelodeon shows or like whatever.
Yeah, that's
you know?
fine. I mean, we were talking about like Johnny Bravo versus the Powerpuff Girls.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Samurai Jack, like in an intergender type match against Jenny from Teenage Robot. If you remember that show, I used to really like that.
I do remember that show. Wow.
Yeah. So Jack versus Jenny, like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Let's do God, I am really starting to struggle here. Okay. Shit. Okay, we're talking cartoons. It doesn't necessarily have to be American cartoons, which actually I shouldn't even say that because these are both American cartoons. They're just both about people that aren't American. Jackie Chan with the power of all 12 talismans from Jackie Chan Adventures versus the Avatar.
Oh shit! Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's the Savage Steamboat of my cartoon WrestleMania right there. That's the one that everyone that knows what they're talking about, it doesn't give a shit about brand supremacy. That's what they're tuning in to see right there because that's gonna be amazing.
All right. Any more matches, or can we move on to our next question? Because I feel like that's.
I have one left. I have one left.
One left. What is it?
It's going to be Power Rangers versus the Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Okay, fair enough.
Holy wait, that's not a cartoon. We can't do that. It's not a cartoon. We're cartoons only.
Oh yeah, Power Rangers aren't a cartoon.
Neither are the Big Bad Beetleborgs. Neither one of them are cartoons.
What about X-Men versus Gargoyles?
Oh yes. Wait, which 5 X-Men? Because this has to be another Survivor Series match. So would it? I'm going to say Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, and Beast. How's that?
That's agreeable to me. Absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't want to get your boy Gambit on there.
I love Gambit, but he's not part of that core, man. If we were going to put Gambit on the team, he would replace Beast, and I want the muscle, man.
All right. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Nobody cares about Codename Kids Next Door, James. You're the only one.
I personally love that show, but yeah, it ain't got room on this card.
I'm trying to think of like, we could maybe swap out the Johnny Bravo match because I kind of want to do a trios match: Powerpuff Girls versus Ed, Edd, and Eddy.
That would be pretty beast.
That feels kind of unfair to Ed, Edd, and Eddy though, because they're just kind of dumb guys that try and make money so they can buy Jawbreakers, and the Powerpuff Girls are like full-blown superheroes. So I think Johnny Bravo versus the Powerpuff Girls is a little more appropriate because at least Johnny Bravo has the size and power advantage, right?
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of those old Cartoon Network bumpers where they were all living in the same city, and like that was pretty like fucking insane. I'm just thinking about all these matchups. Like, yeah, that's wild.
And you know what? We could if we're gonna do the big, we have to fit Kid Next Door in here. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a crazy clusterfuck gauntlet match involving teams of 4. And it's going to be Kids Next Door, codename Kids Next Door, versus Teen Titans, versus Recess Kids, versus the cast of the Magic School Bus.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
And that I'm ending it there. I'm done. That's it.
All right, let's move on to our next question.
Okay. I don't even remember where we were. Recast your favorite movie. Oh, that's actually next. Okay. Second question from Thomas. Recast your favorite movies using wrestlers. Well, I already said my favorite movie, well, not my number one, but one of my favorite movies is The Big Lebowski. And I think the perfect replacement for Jeff Bridges as Lebowski is Dean Ambrose. That's just the perfect fit. It just makes sense. You know, I mean, we've got to have Walter, and I think that's going to be Braun Strowman. And who's going to be Donnie? Who's an annoying little shit that everyone wants to see die, but then would actually feel bad if he did die? The Miz is Donnie.
Yeah, I was going to say that's immediately who came to mind. Yeah.
The Jesus is ADR because no one gives a shit about him, but he talks a lot, and everyone just wants to see him get punched in the face. That's definitely ADR. And then, actually, I think that's Bunny Lebowski, played by Nikki Bella.
Okay.
Gold digger, so it's the perfect fit. I think that's going to be it for the Big Lebowski from me. How are you going to do yours? What's your? Are you going to recast Whiplash?
I am, dude. I put so much fucking thought into this. In fact, given the nature of the question, I think I put too much thought into it. Whiplash, and I want a very young Chris Benoit. And I want, since I'm going to take artistic liberties here, like film does all the time, so I don't care. I want Fletcher to be Stu Hart. And I want it to be like intense psychological torture with the Hart Dungeon, actually making it live up to its reputation and go beyond it. And then, like, he's just trying to break Chris down, like, oh, you'll never be anything. You'll never be a good, like, all this stuff denigrating him every which way. And this big Canadian promotion. I was going to research a legit one, but I just didn't have time.
See, this sounds more to me, though, like you're remaking the Whiplash movie, telling a story to your liking, but the whole point is just to recast the actual character.
And that's why I said, like, given the nature of the question, I'd read too much into it, and, like, I went too far. But, yeah, I would do Whiplash. And really the only two big people are, like, Fletcher and Andrew, because it really is about that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that idea, but I'm curious if you just had to do a shot-for-shot remake of Whiplash with wrestlers standing in for those characters, who would they be?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, Chris is Andrew.
No, I mean, like, active living current wrestlers.
Oh, active living current wrestlers. That's a bit harder with Whiplash. But, you know what?
I mean, you don't even have to go with Whiplash. I love your idea for the wrestling version remake of Whiplash, to the point that if you want to change movies to do the actual cast swapping, I'm down.
No, I think if you were to do a living version, we'd call that the Alive remake. I'd say you could do ZSJ as Andrew and have Suzuki be Fletcher.
I can dig that. I can dig that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I'd go with.
I'll dig it. Third question from Thomas. If you could go back and change the winners to some matches, what would they be?
I only have one, and that is Triple H should have never went over fucking Punk at Night of Champions. Like, Punk should have won that fucking match. So that's going to be the one that I put full stop, and that's probably the one that I feel the most passionate about. So now I'm going to give you the floor.
Here's one that I think would have done a lot as far as changing ripple effect wise. Like, it would have done a huge, I'm going to actually name two. Ripple effect. Let's just drop this stone into the water and see where it ends up. So the first one is the Hell in a Cell match, Punk versus Ryback. I have Ryback go over there and have him win the world title.
Yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from there for sure.
And then the other one is I have Daniel Bryan win the 2014 Royal Rumble instead of, or not 2014, 2015, the 2015 Royal Rumble instead of Roman. Because I think that fixes so much. It fixes everyone hating Roman because of Bryan. It fixes Roman getting pushed too early. It fixes a lot. So those are the two big ones. I would give Ryback the world title, have him be the one to drop it to The Rock, give him that rub instead of Punk, because Punk didn't need it anymore. And like you said, Triple H already fucking killed Punk's momentum at Night of Champions a few years prior. And yeah, I would give that to Ryback, and I would do the what was the other thing? I don't know.
Right.
What was the other thing that I said? The other shit. I already fucking forgot.
Yeah, dude. We're both so bad tonight. Yeah, because you said Punk, Ryback. Fuck me. You said Bryan winning
winning Rumble 15. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Rumble 2015.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely agree with that. I guess we can move on.
All right, fourth and final question from Thomas. Predict next year's Mania card.
Ronda Rousey versus Asuka.
Okay, let's just because this is such an open-ended question, let's do world title main event, world title semi-main, undercard match, women's match, and then something else of your choosing. We'll just keep it at 5 matches.
All right. Well, I still put forward that as my women's match, Ronda Rousey
That's
versus
your women's
Asuka.
title match. You're gonna do
Yeah.
Asuka versus Ronda. Okay, you think Asuka's gonna win the title and hold it the whole year, or?
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have Ronda end the streak. I'm slowly becoming convinced, and it kind of makes me sick, but this isn't the place to really talk about that aspect of it.
Yeah. Oh, are we going back and forth?
I thought we were. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Well, then just for the sake of who the top 2 women in the company are right now, I think it would be interesting if they put them on the same show. Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss is going to be my women's match.
Okay, I actually really like that. I have Seth going over to SmackDown, so I'm going to say on the SmackDown side, which I would assume to be the semi-main, it's going to be him versus AJ for the WWE title. So I'm going to say that. And then do you want the main event?
Wait, was that your main event?
That was like my semi-main because I feel like SmackDown's always going to take a backseat to Raw because Raw is Roman Reigns' show. So
of course, yeah. Well, my SmackDown World Title main event is going to be kind of a weird one, I think. I'm actually going to do Andrade Cien Almas as the world champion at the time, defending against AJ Styles.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, I already have AJ versus Seth in my semi-main, but that actually is a really good main event.
Well, that's the semi-main because that's the SmackDown main event.
Right. So yeah, I really like that. As far as main event, I actually really liked an idea Anthony Dolan passed by me. We replicate WrestleMania 6, but with modern day performers. Roman Reigns is Universal Champion. Braun Strowman is Intercontinental Champion. Winner take all. That would be my main event.
That's a great. You know what? I'm not even going to try and think of something better than that. That is bellissimo.
All credit to Anthony there again. Anthony Dolan originally had that idea, and I fucking
props
loved
to
it.
Anthony Dolan. Then that was brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
That.
Shout out to you, Anthony. Great work.
All right, you want to do an undercard match, or you're like your free square?
My undercard match would easily be. Now, I think this should happen before Mania. But if they'd want to do it like in a different way, I mean, I'd love Bryan versus Miz in a Mania. But then again, at a Mania, I feel like Bryan should face a bigger opponent. All due respect to the Miz.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? I'll say Bryan versus Demon Balor. I could get behind that.
Oh, but you got to have Bryan lose then. That's going to piss people off.
Yeah. They'll get over it, though. They need to get over it.
Is Balor a heel in this scenario?
You know what? Seeing as how he does have Balor Club, I could turn the heel heat up on him. Yeah, for sure.
Right. And you know what? I'm changing my mind. I want my SmackDown main event to be Andrade versus Bryan. I want Bryan to be the face challenger for the world title there. And since it's going to be like the last match on the show anyway, I don't have to worry about fitting like the crazy star power of AJ Styles in there. It's just makes sense. AJ can be in another match, maybe like an angle match, maybe in my fantasy world, we put Balor on the same show as him, or we bring him over to Raw and keep Balor and we do the club thing with him versus Balor. That could be interesting. But you know what? Actually, that's going to be my extra match. My extra match is going to be AJ Styles versus Finn Balor in like a false count anywhere kind of really personal street fight kind of match, because AJ feels offended that Balor thinks that he is like the rightful owner of the club, even though AJ was the best leader of the Bullet Club in New Japan.
Ooh, I like that. See, I like the story you put behind it, because even though I enjoyed the one match they had, it felt like such a throwaway because they had to make card changes.
Exactly, yeah. And the match that they did have was really good without any build-up whatsoever.
Yeah, so with build, holy fuck. And then you could even have like Anderson.
And that's why I also made it Falls Count Anywhere, because if this is Falls Count Anywhere, we can get freaking Balor doing a coup de grace off the freaking ring post. We can have AJ Styles hitting a phenomenal forearm off of freaking, like scaffolding. Like, we could get some crazy shit out of a Falls Count Anywhere.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Absolutely.
So that's my extra match. What's your extra match? Because then I still have to have my sort of undercard match, since I swapped AJ out for Daniel Bryan against Andrade.
My extra match, honestly, because it's next year's Mania, and I really want to stack Mania because Mark kind of inspired me. Like, when did Mania really feel like Mania? I'd love to do, since he's really like taken a lot more L's in his career and he's really kind of slowed down. I love Aleister Black versus John Cena. Like, I think that'd be a great extra match. Or Joe versus Cena if you want more of an established guy against Cena.
Or Joe versus Aleister.
Ooh, that would be good. But I still want to get some mileage out of Cena, though.
Joe versus Cena versus Aleister, triple threat.
That seems a bit like overkill, though, because I feel like with those personalities, they're so big.
That's what I was going for, so it worked.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to say Aleister versus Cena. I'm going to stick with that. So
nice. And my extra match. Are you ready, John?
Yes.
The Intercontinental Champion at the time. Are you ready?
Yes.
Adam Cole, baby!
Yes!
Versus, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Velveteen Dream.
Oh, I'm going camping because I just pitched a tent. Jesus Christ. Dude, that's beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, that was the fourth and final question from Thomas Buckner on Twitter. And up next, we've got 4 questions from Heel Zane. This is YouTube questions. First up, what do you think of Nia Jax being the big show of the women?
I hate it.
In the sense that she's a face now, and she's going to be a face and probably win the title, but then she's probably going to drop the title to Ronda Rousey, and when she does, she's going to have to be a heel. So just the constant switches between heel and face, especially because she just turned face recently, and she's going to have to turn heel to drop the title to Ronda. So just the constant switching is, I think, more what he's talking about than like the dominant giant kind of aspect of it.
Right. Yeah, I hate it.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, no, I was going to say no. Like, I hate that they're trying to make her into a thing. She's so talentless to me. Like, really, she is the new writer for me. Like, I've never rooted for somebody to actively fail, and it really is hypocritical because our TWitWoW policy is, we give everyone a chance. I mean, I'm just going to be honest, not really. I'm always going to be actively rooting for her to fail at everything she does. I really have a visceral hatred for her, and yeah, I really am not looking forward to the match. I think the idea that she's getting the solo women's match is fucking insulting, honestly. I still hope that Bayley and Sasha and any combination of the 4 horsewomen can break the ground and have a very personal women's match in a Mania that doesn't involve a championship. So at least Jax is still occupying that space. And I know there's a lot of hate for Alexa too, like especially from like people like Asian stuff. I don't hate Alexa. I just think she's been a bit overexposed. So when she drops the title, I would kind of reel it in a bit. But yeah, Nia to me, I think absolutely has nothing to offer. And, you know, I'm not even going to fat gym or whatever because I don't care that you're big. I've seen big and talented people. I mean, I've talked about Karma all the fucking time. Well, I wish we had her instead of you, if I'm honest, Nia. But, you know, you can't always get what you want. And yeah, as far as the whole turning face and now doing this thing, it's whatever.
You might find you get what you need.
So your thoughts on this?
I agree. Pretty much word for word. I don't think that, and really, I don't hate that they're using Nia Jax in that big show role in the sense that they're switching her back heel and face, because at the end of the day, that damages her character, and her damaged character just means that I'm going to be able to see less of her in the long run. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I totally get where you're coming from there.
She's like, I was talking on Discord yesterday. I think she's actually fallen below Charlotte in my women's rankings.
Yeah, dude, right though. Like, she needs to fail. God, I know I'm a piece of shit, but again, though, at least I'm being the kind of piece of shit that I could get down. I'm honest about it. I'm not going to be the snake in the grass and be like, oh, Nia's all right. And then if it ever comes that she's released, I was lying all along. This is the greatest day ever. No, she fucking sucks. I really hope you fail. I really do, because not everybody should pursue their dreams. I don't even think this is your dream, because you were so ready to fucking walk out and you already do your modeling and stuff, which I think that's great. But just like, if you're not going to commit and you're not going to learn to take an L and do business, get the fuck out of the locker room. God, she's the worst. Why are people
know that a female performer is the worst when James says, I wouldn't even nut in her?
I know, right? And this is a man, like, we openly admitted to, well, I mean, I guess it would be rape because they can't consent, you know, raping each other's house pets. and he would not Nia Jax. Like, that is some stone cold shit, man. God damn. Next question.
Next question from Heel Zane. Finally, Daniel Bryan is cleared. How about that? What are your dream matches with Bryan from the current roster? I feel like we've kind of briefly touched on this. My top 3 are Nakamura, Styles, and it's Almas.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about Almas. Oh my god, dude, I think I just nutted again.
Almas was my opponent for Bryan in my fantasy WrestleMania card for next year.
Yeah, but like I kind of blacked out from the awesomeness, and I feel like I'm kind of blacking out again. No, that's amazing. Really, like, okay, so wait, repeat that list one more time, just so I don't repeat you. You said
Styles,
Nakamura, Styles, Almas, right?
Correct.
Definitely gonna jack all 3 of those, but I would tack on Bryan versus Zayn, because Zayn's been so fucking good as of late. Even though we saw it in Bryan's original run, I want to see it again because I think it'd be great for both guys, for Bryan to kind of get reacclimated, and for this guy because it would be a huge marquee match. Cesaro versus Bryan, I want to see it again. You said Nakamura, Styles, and Almas. So Balor versus Bryan, I'd like to see that. Adam Cole, Bay versus Bay versus Yes. Yeah,
I also already mentioned earlier that like the one big dream match that I don't know if it's ever happened that I want to see is Ricochet.
That's true. That's a great one. Let me think what else.
And honestly, if we're talking cruisers, Buddy Murphy versus Daniel Bryan, please.
Oh, hell, well, if we're talking cruisers, Hideo Itami versus Bryan. I know we've talked about that.
That right there. That's the splooge fest match right there. That's
definitely.
10 years in the making. We have already gotten Bryan Danielson versus Kenta. Let's see what we can get out of Daniel Bryan versus Hideo Itami.
Honestly, I'd love to see a return match between Bryan and Cena, even if Cena does get his win back. I'd like to see
right? Like, I was so angry because, like, Daniel Bryan's cleared to wrestle, and John Cena doesn't have a WrestleMania opponent, but of course he actually does because the plan all along has been Taker. Bryan versus Cena at Mania. I'm sure Bryan wouldn't mind, having his first match back being against one of the safest workers in the company. Hello.
Yeah, and I think my final pick, this way we can move on to other questions, would be Bryan versus a heel Dean Ambrose. Because when he comes back, I want him coming back on all cylinders fired up.
You are so dead set on heel Ambrose.
You're damn right I am, because it's the correct answer.
I'm going to laugh, though, so hard when he comes back as a face, and you're just like, yeah, that's to be expected. He's got to come back because the pop. He's going to get the return pop. He's going to turn heel within a month or two, and then like 6 months go by, and you're just like, I know that the timing hasn't really been right yet, but he's going to turn heel soon. Just watch.
I got to say before you move on, because I can't let that go by without a response. I love how when you're going through the process, your voice, you could just tell it's changed because you're already savoring it and it hasn't happened yet. You're just like, oh, this is fucking delicious. How's it feel to be wrong again, John? Who the fuck even listens to your opinions? Like, I am so proud of you because I've waited for our relationship to get to this point. That was beautiful because, I mean, hell, you already know that when you blunder in Rocket League or other affairs in life, I have a good chuckle, so it's only fair that you get to laugh too. See, friendships based on Schadenfreude really are the fucking best. All right, next question.
Next question from Heel Zane. What do you think of the Sasha versus Bayley story and it being relegated to the Battle Royal instead of being for a championship? We kind of answered something like this earlier, and really, I don't even really mind that it's not for a championship, but if it doesn't get a singles match, that is just the best indication of where the WWE is as far as their female talent evaluation goes. And I've said now for months, the WWE has the worst female talent evaluators in the world. And this, at this point, is getting comically bad.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I feel like all the stuff they've been doing, and dude, like, I have to say again, I'm sorry, but when I feel like it's something worth repeating, then it's okay to repeat because it has worth. how they've used social media too is great. Like, I love that Bailey has used her fandom for Paramore. She uses certain song titles to indicate how she's feeling about Sasha. The way Sasha uses the likes feature, where you can go back and see what people have liked, is hilarious, because so many of the tweets, if you go down far enough, are just dragging the shit out of Bailey. And then when Bailey thanked Mikaze for like her action figure, because I guess he had either a hand in making it or he got it for her, she liked 2 tweets that are like, bitches better leave my man alone if they know what's good for him. And then the other one is, if you don't leave my man alone. Like, I was dying. Like, especially Sasha, I feel like, has really used social media so well. The in-ring stuff has been great. And I actually feel like that's where Bailey's really shined. I love that she's got more of an edge to her character. I'm still like giddy over I'm a 4-time Raw Women's Champion. And how long did you keep it? Oh, shit, Rector, shit. And then the way Sasha just grabs the bun of like the ponytail, it just smacks against the locker. Like, me and Asia were freaking out. It was the best thing. And I love that like her and I have just bonded over being evil now. It's like low-key the best thing. And yeah, like Sasha was just whooping that ass. And to know that they're doing all this work for the fucking Battle Royal, it just really, really, really pisses me off, dude, because it's like, wow. And then you know what's going to be even worse, though? And I hate to be like that guy that projects into the future, but I really see this happening. Like, if any woman is going to main event WrestleMania, it is going to be Ronda fucking Rousey, you know, because she has that profile. Now, do I think she will? No, but the women have said in multiple interviews, oh, we'd love to main event a Mania. We'd love to have a high-profile match. Even if it's not the main event, is in the last match on the show, the highest profile women's match ever is going to be like, just has Rousey in it, and probably Asuka because of the streak. Whereas I feel like, I don't know, you kind of have to pay your dues and really earn that. And Ronda's been looking awful so far. I'm really nervous about their Mania match, but we'll get to that on, well, that would be Friday, not Thursday. So, you know, that'll be then. But like, these women and women like Becky work so fucking hard, and they're getting fuck all, and it really bothers me. And yeah, Sasha and Bailey in particular have been doing quality work, and I really wish that they got rewarded more, because this is some horse shit. So that's really where I am with it.
Works for me. Ready to move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next, fourth and final question from Hill Zane. How do you feel about the greatest Royal Rumble and the match lineup? I don't even know what the match lineup is, to be perfectly honest with you, man. I haven't even looked.
Yeah, I haven't really. I heard about the triple threat ladder match, Miz, Balor, and Seth. So pretty much WrestleMania, but with a ladder, which, why aren't you doing that at Mania to begin with, by the way? Because, yeah, we don't even have our crazy ladder match.
Samoa Joe has been added to that match. It's Seth, Finn, Miz, and Joe on a ladder match.
Okay. Oh, so it is different from Mania. Still, though, like...
And then we've also got Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boys, Triple H versus John Cena, and the big 50-man Royal Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like every title will also be defended, because it has TBA versus TBA listed for WWE Championship match, a Universal, United States, SmackDown, and Cruiser. And obviously we know, unfortunately, that no women's match will take place on this show.
Oh, God. Is the winner of the 50 Rumble even getting anything? Like, even like a charity thing, which I heard was a rumor? Did they establish anything?
I don't know.
Oh my God, WWE, blow it out your own fucking ass. I don't know how I feel about this. It's all garbage. Like, why are you just throwing... Like, first of all, why isn't that ladder match on Mania again? Especially, dude, if Braun Strowman's partner isn't Joe, if he's medically cleared to do this fucking 50 Rumble shit, I will be pissed, because how can you leave Joe off of Mania again? Because Joe wasn't even at Mania last year, was he? So, like, 2 WrestleManias in a row. The guy doesn't have that many. Like, I'm not saying he's, like, out to pasture, but he is, like, in his later 30s. Like, get the good years while you have them. Stop fucking around. I'm sorry. I'm unnecessarily angry, I think. But it's...
He actually just turned 39 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying. Like, get on that shit.
Dude, Joe's not just fat, he's also old.
I love you, Ashton Steiner. But yeah, I'm unnecessarily angry. You guys, I'm the old man yelling at clouds. Don't mind me. But I don't know. I just feel like the greatest Rumble, it's masturbation with no purpose. Except with masturbation, you feel good, and I don't understand who could feel good, because you're kind of like just wasting time and flying people out for some bullshit. And so, yeah, and then as far as the rest of the card, like the ladder match sounds fun. I think there's a tag title match. I don't even know. It's just going to be a network special that's probably worthless, like the whole Tokyo show, save for, when Balor won the NXT title.
Special? Does that mean we have to live react to it?
No, we do not. No, I'm saying that for fun. No, we do not. Screw that.
I mean, even if we did have a habit of live reacting to every network special house show, I would have to not react to this one in protest because of the bullshit with the women.
Yeah. Like that really is some like fucking horse shit.
Like, we thought they were progressive. They did Alexa versus Sasha, and now it's like, oh, now they're literally backtracking. Someone get them a backhoe so they can dig further into this hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pieces of shit.
Yeah. So I guess next question.
Ace the Skylord had 3 questions.
Oh, Ace.
First,
yeah.
Who of the following should win the WWE/Universal Championship first? Rusev, Big E, Aleister Black, Drew McIntyre, Adam Cole, baby.
Could you try and conceal the bias?
That's not even my answer. My actual real answer for who should win a world title first, based exclusively on who I think is going to get called up soonest and who I think has all of the pieces to be the face of a brand, is Drew McIntyre.
You know what? I heard your mom in the background. That was hilarious. First of all, I was just kidding around because I noticed like how you said all those names, and then you always put your back into Adam Cole. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with you on that. For as much as like I love Rusev and stuff like that, you've really got to look at it from a company standpoint and take the subjective out of it. Do I think Adam Cole should be a world champion? Yes. Do I think all these guys should be world champion at some point? Yes. But
honestly, if I were to rank them, like if we were going to do like rank list, Adam Cole would be 4th on this list.
Really?
Yeah. Like I would have McIntyre, then Big E, then Black, then Cole, then Rusev.
That's really interesting to me that you have Adam Cole, like relative to the other guys, that low. Like in some ways it makes sense.
Well, if it was who is going to be the biggest star, I would probably have Adam Cole ranked like 2nd behind Drew.
Okay.
It's who should win the title first. And based on that, I mean, Drew, obviously number 1 because he's got everything, but then Big E number 2 because he's fucking due. Aleister number 3 because it's by the time we get through the Drew and Big E reigns, it's going to feel like, why the hell has Aleister Black not won the title yet? So he makes sense. And then out of Adam Cole and Rusev, I think Rusev can afford to wait the longest because he's just got that thing where he's just going to be over no matter the hell what.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to co-sign onto you in the end. That Drew, I think when I look at a person's look and what they can do for a company, and he's gotten so much better on the mic. Yeah, I think he should be the first to do it. I'd love if he did it at Reigns' expense, because I think he has a better look than Reigns, and he's a much better talker than Reigns by miles.
Much better, and also a better in-ring worker. So literally, just everything that Roman Reigns has that's good, and even stuff that's not so good about him, Drew McIntyre is better in every category.
Absolutely. In fact, I think
he's got a better look. He's a better talker. He's a better in-ring worker. There is no thing that Drew McIntyre isn't better than Roman Reigns at.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And I honestly think we're good. I agree with you about McIntyre.
That's not like one of those like don't take it too heavily kind of things because everyone is in that category. Like, no, like most people don't have as good of a look as Roman Reigns. I'll give Roman Reigns the credit of the dude's got a great look.
Yeah, for sure.
But Drew McIntyre, I am like on the grand, what's it called? The Kinsey scale. I am like a hard heterosexual. Like if I would take one of those tests to determine where you are on the Kinsey scale, I would be like 97% heterosexual. And Drew McIntyre gives me second thoughts.
that already is the early candidate for like the TWitWoW Line of the Year award or whatever.
I'm sorry, but Drew McIntyre is a man.
Yeah, oh my God, I'm loving this. No, you're right though. You're 100% right though. That's the crazy thing. Like I can't even be like you're wrong. Like that is kind of how I feel though about Adam Cole because I mean that facial structure though. Like,
Yeah, the fat piece of shit.
Oh, he's self-conscious. Don't do that.
I swear, every time I think about PWG and Excalibur calling him a fat piece of shit, I always think back to that one match where it was like him. I think it was him versus Cedric Alexander, or it might have been him versus ACH. And it's horrible that I'm forgetting because the whole joke is that not being able to tell the difference between black guys makes you racist. But Adam Cole gave the ring announcer a paper to read, and he said about how like Adam Cole is like this great thing, and then he was like, and by the way, to my opponent, and then he said the name of the wrong black guy.
Wow.
You can suck my dick. And then he also said, he added, in the case of a that was racist chant, and then he said, everyone here can suck my dick, and he flipped the entire crowd off. It was the best thing ever.
Oh my God. Yeah, a lot of people on that list. And like, again, I do think all of them at one point.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was he was going against Cedric Alexander, and I think it was Excalibur reading the card. He said, to my opponent, ACH, and then everyone was like, oh, and then Adam Cole did this thing where he like looked really hard at Cedric, and then Excalibur continued reading, oops, I mean Cedric Alexander. And then there was this big pause, and there was the big, like, that was racist chant. And then on the freaking card, it literally said, in the case of a that was racist chant, you can all suck my dick. And Adam Cole flips off the entire crowd. Greatest thing ever.
Absolutely, man. That was fucking beautiful. Yeah, I think we can move on to our next question, though.
Okay.
It's still Ace, so it'd be question 2.
Yep, second question from Ace the Skylord. Over under 45%. We get to see Dr. the Lord at any point in time in Lucha Underground Season 4. I'm going to say over. I think that the odds are higher than 45% that we see this guy.
Interesting.
You know, I also think that if you would have said the same exact over-under on the Vampiro Master, I would have also said over. I think we're going to see both of them, and they might even interact.
Ooh.
Person.
Damn, you are, I don't know, it's late stages of the Q&A, and you are clearly feeling yourself these last few questions. I'm digging it, though. I'm not going to be as bold as you as Vampiro and his master, which, thank goodness, that wasn't the formal question asked. I would go under on that. This, I'm struggling a bit, but you know what? I think what puts me in the camp of over was they had a really cataclysmic event and last season with Dario getting shot and Winter taking over. And I think you can't have something like that.
Shake things up again.
Exactly. Like, I feel like the Lord's going to be kind of like Thanos. Like, he sees this happening. He's like, you know what? Fine. I'll take care of things myself. Because something's going to go wrong with Winter. And even if it's the end of season 4, once Winter fails, who's supposed to be the competent right-hand man, then the Lord's going to have no choice but to handle things himself. And they could even do something like that. So I will say over, but with the caveat of I don't think we're going to see him until the end of season 4. In fact, by the end, I even mean like the final 5 minutes that we could see him, seeing him. So there you go.
I can dig that. All right. Third and final question from Ace. Sorry that we can't give you a satisfactory answer on this one, but he did say, have you watched Black Panther yet? And if so, what are your thoughts? I haven't. Neither has John. I'm very disappointed in the fact that we haven't been able to see it yet, and I'm looking forward to being able to see it. Hopefully, if you want to ask this question again for April, we might be able to answer it by then. I'm really crossing my fingers on this one, but I don't know.
Yep, and that's all that we can really say about that. So next set of questions.
Yep, we got 2 questions from Bullet Club versus the Shield. First one, John, you want to pull up the Tumblr post that you're supposed to have read?
Oh, I read it already, and AJ, it was so good. I particularly liked how you distinguished like Sasha as a face, being like a risk taker and want to have the best matches possible, and paying homage to Eddie and like doing all those face things. Whereas when she's a heel, she doesn't really care about bettering things for women or putting on even great women's wrestling, but just wrestling and stuff that benefits her. I think you used the term head bitch in charge in your post, and I liked, and I will actually pull up your Tumblr post if I can find it quickly enough and not take too much time, which look at that, I did because I'm me. I like that you pointed out that I love your claps. Thank you. As a face, you mentioned that Sasha, you gave 4 points, hasn't retained the women's title once, hasn't had a long title reign, hasn't won a history-making match, which is something I've been stuck on for a while, Asia. So I really love that you brought that up. and hasn't been the face of the women's division, which I would say is also true, especially now with Ronda coming in. You could almost say in a way she's already become it despite not really interacting with many women yet. So yeah, I really liked your dichotomy of like how face Sasha differs from heel Sasha and what makes face Sasha great. When I know some people are like, oh, turn heel, which I know like you like her as a heel too. It's not that you don't, but like the good qualities of face Sasha, but just where she falls short, which is why it would necessitate a heel turn. Because as we've said on this podcast, you only turn heel to get things done that you couldn't get done when you were a face. So when she turns heel, she should be able to retain the women's title. She should be able to have a long reign because, you know, heels should always be champions because, you know, people pay to see you lose. I know Ashton said that line multiple times. I don't know how many history-making matches there are left, so I don't really know how much Sasha could even do with that as a heel, but they'd find one. Lord knows they'll find one, and hopefully she'd win it. And then, yeah, just by virtue of being such a dominant champion, she should be the face. But that I still question only because of Ronda and how much they're putting into her. But yeah, I think on the whole, Asia, it was a really well-done post, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they blew all of their history-making women's matches. They blew that load over the last, like, 3 years or so.
Yeah. Next question from Asia, which, yeah, I'm looking at it right here. So,
by the way, I saw Alex was confused. The first question was for John, and it was literally just, I want you to read my Tumblr post about Sasha's face run and give your thoughts on it. So that's exactly what he did. Second question is for both of us. Do you find it funny that the one women's feud that doesn't have a title involved or on the WrestleMania card has the best build? This is really a pressing thing with the TWitWoW audience. We've gotten 3 questions related to this. It's unbelievable.
Because they matter, damn it. But yeah, I feel like you could go back to our prior answers because I know Asia's been here for the Q&A, although I haven't seen her in chat in a while. Is she still here? I feel like
I don't think she's been around for a little while. She might.
I think she's still here because she did interact with the world champion question, which was only a little bit ago. So yeah, she'll probably be back to hear this. Oh yeah, there she is. Hi, Asia. It's gonna be like, bitch, don't forget about me. But no, like, yeah, you could really just look to our other answers, Asia, and I feel like that kind of answers the question. Like, yeah, they're brilliant and they deserve a lot better. So there you go.
Forget about me.
It's the second sing along. Do you need time?
Don't you? Sorry, I'm done. Let's go.
Are you though? Because that's the second
final set of questions up we got from Alex Foster. First questions for Johnny Scumbag. You have been elected Santa Claus for the year. Oh, Christ. What are the children getting?
Oh, God. All the season's beatings. You know, how dark should I take this answer?
I mean, we could go bars of soap in tube socks dark. We could.
No, I'm talking like, really, how dark should I get on here? Because I could be a real piece of shit.
Oh, wow.
Or I could just pull it back enough to not be a piece of shit.
I think if you pull back, people will always wonder how far you were going to go. So just go.
Well, for one, I would definitely do my thing where, you know, I swap out all the gifts with Cole. Remember, I always told you I would do that with my kids if I ever had them. I would swap them out with Cole, except the difference is rather than give them the gifts, I would incinerate the gifts right in front of them. So then they'd have no chance.
Oh, okay. So you're not like pulling the gift away, setting it neatly on the shelf and replacing it with a pile of coal. You're literally turning the gift into the charcoal by burning it while they're watching.
Actually, I wasn't even doing that, but that's a much better idea. No, what I was saying was I was going to swap the gift, and then when they're crying, I'm like, it's okay, here are your gifts. And then when they race for them, I incinerate them before they get to them. So it's like, oh, you were so close, but not close enough so that I can mentally and emotionally break them again. I would definitely plant drugs in the good parents' home. This way they get taken into foster care, because foster care statistically is the fucking worst. Like, so much bad things that I won't even get into happen to children in foster care. So I would put so many innocent and well-meaning children in the system. So I definitely would put Coke in Daddy's stocking. Let's see. So I told you, man, people are going to fucking hate me after this, and I don't even blame them, even though this is just a character that I feel like I've done too well performing as. It's like the Jekyll. It's like the Dr. Mr. Hyde to my Jekyll. So yeah, Coke and Daddy stocking so that Dyfus pays them a visit on Christmas. Cole, and then incinerate the actual gifts. And yeah, I just want to beat the shit out of some fucking kids. So definitely,
Yeah,
like,
that's where the soap and tube socks thing came from. You can beat them up with that, and it won't leave any.
yeah, I come in like Cindy Lou Who, like, hey, you awake? Santa? Pa! Ah! Ah! Yeah. Oh man, that
You are so incredibly fucked up.
dude, I am telling you, you know what the best part about me being so irreparably damaged mentally is? Whatever therapist wins the lot, they have their nest egg with me alone. Like, they are gonna make some bank. So yeah, and then of course James would be my Santa's little helper, and we would just do all of this together, because let's just say I'm very well versed in slipping my candy cane in his stocking, and yeah, it would be the best Christmas ever. So I hope that answered your question, Foster. There you go.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't even know if you can even look at me. I mean, you seem so apprehensive.
Guys, thanks for the question there, Foster. You really, that was like, that was the Pandora, and John took the box.
Hey, to be fair, I asked how far I should go with this.
Well, the thing is, though, now we know the extent of what your mind does.
Yeah, enjoy that image. Next question.
James is insisting that we bomb the sick children. I honestly, I kind of just from a pure emotional torture standpoint, I think it would be a lot more of an interesting social experiment if, as Santa, you just went to every house and took every gift, so the kids wake up to nothing in the morning.
Yes, I love it.
So, that's a social experiment that could fuck a lot of kids up in the head.
I feel like that's some Jimmy Kimmel shit. Because you've seen him do stuff like that, right? Where it's like,
but Jimmy Kimmel, like, he's not the guy that'll go in your wallet and take a 50 out and say fuck you and walk away. He's the guy that'll come up to you and say, hey, here's $50. Oh wait, just kidding, bye. Like,
yeah,
he's not the guy that actually like traumatizes. He just kind of annoys,
Yeah. No, you want to go to that deep shit. You're like, no, Jimmy.
Yeah, like because then you've got parents like trying to be like, oh shit, we were robbed. Kids, I guess you were just too naughty this year.
Yeah. Oh my god. We are some sick. I mean, mainly me. It's like 98% me.
I mean, nice. You're trying to get kids put into foster care. That's the fucked up thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's 98% me, but it's nice to know that you're getting in on it a little bit. Next question.
Second question from Alex Foster's for me, and he said, if Ash won the Pokemon League, where do you continue the show from there? Would you replace him and continue the series with a different protagonist? And the one rule that he did say is that you're not allowed to cancel the show. And I wouldn't want to cancel the show. I would actually my thing was I would use Ash winning the Pokemon League as an excuse to slightly alter the format of the show just to be targeted at a slightly more mature audience. So instead of being targeted at like 5 to 12-year-olds, we would target at like 11 to 17, like the young teens and the preteens, kids that are like, rather than reading Dr. Seuss, they're reading like the Hunger Games and Harry Potter, that kind of thing. And right. I would basically turn the Pokemon series from what it is, which is basically every week Ash either gets into a battle or catches a Pokemon or has to save some other Pokemon from some kind of dire danger, to more of a character piece where it was more Ash and his struggles. And we also have to acknowledge, like, this is an 11-year-old kid that got basically kicked out of the house at 11 years old and had to fend for himself and stuff like that. We kind of examine that. We examine the relationships a little bit more. I feel like in Pokemon X, Y, and Z, there was a little bit more relationship work between Ash and his the one female companion whose name escapes me right now. And I think we can do a little more with that. Really, I think just upping the maturity a little bit and making it less about, I want to be the very best, and making it more about Ash as a person and his success maybe even going to his head early on, because it's like he worked so hard and he finally won the Pokemon League and he doesn't know how to handle that success. So maybe that gets to him a little bit. Maybe he drives his friends away for the first few episodes and has to learn that lesson and needs to learn how to handle that success and that kind of stuff. I think you could just work with more mature themes. I'm not talking about like him going on like a fucking Coke and Hooker binge or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just learning that like when you succeed, you need to learn that you're not better than everyone else. You just happen to be successful, and you need to not let that success turn you into a bad person. You know, like there's something there, and then obviously you would take it from that point and figure out where to go from there. But that would be the direction that I would take it personally. So and move on from that question. Third question for both of us: wrestlers that you like, but you don't know why you like them.
Okay, so just to clarify, that Pokemon question was just for you then?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I even had an answer ready. Now I kind of feel awkward. Repeat that question. I'm sorry.
Wrestlers that you like. It's basically wrestlers that you're a fan of, that you like, but you don't know why you like them.
Oh God, I feel like there is an answer to this.
I don't feel like I have an answer to this, because every time I like a wrestler, I always kind of internalize it and try and figure out why. And I can't think of any examples where I couldn't figure out why.
Right. I'd still say I'd like Baron Corbin, but it's funny because I feel like that kind of worked backwards, where like I used to have like a solid reason for liking Corbin, and now if people press me, I'd be like, I don't know, but I'm still like a Baron Corbin fan. So yeah, I guess I'll say Baron, because I mean that receding hairline though.
Oh, Alex Foster did just say in chat, John, you can answer the Pokemon question if you want. So let's backtrack a little bit. You do that. You had.
I mean, no, you gave such a thorough answer. Really, all I was going to do was
you had something prepared though, so I want to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I wanted to commend Alex because it shows that fantasy booking can happen outside of wrestling. Because Ash winning a Pokemon League is fucking hysterical. And I've given up on you, and your family probably has too. Kill yourself.
Pretty much. Yep.
But yeah, if you won a Pokemon League, I would honestly do like a limited series, like maybe it'd be a shorter season of him like running his own gym, because like everybody's so impressed with his victory. It's like, oh, you get your own gym now, and you can do that, and pretty much like him defending his crown as like, you know, a gym leader, and kind of seeing that, and then maybe the side characters kind of do their own thing. Like Brock did want to be like a what was the word? Not a Pokemon nurse, but he wanted to like work with the medicines and stuff. Breeder. He wanted to be a breeder. That's right. So, you know, maybe check in on that. So, yeah, I would really see, like, these characters always had these goals, but we never really see them fulfill them. And one, I feel like that's a catharsis that's waiting to happen. But I feel like the more interesting moment is, okay, you've had your catharsis, now what? Because now the world's kind of rearranging itself. A lot like how you were saying, honestly, which is why I really liked your answer. It's like, okay, you've attained this, so now, like, your perspective and everything shifts. Who are you now, you know, in light of this victory? And I really liked how you took it. I would do a much smaller scale. I don't know why. It's kind of the similar vein of the wrestling question. You notice I did very small scale, like anthology series. With this, I would do like Ash running his own gym, and maybe just even I
even had that idea in my head, and I think that would be like a good sort of season, like a single season of Pokemon, because the Pokemon series, I think each season is like, I think it's like a full year's worth of episodes, just like 52 episodes. So maybe you wouldn't be able to do an entire season dedicated to Ash running his own gym, but a good like half of a season you could definitely pull off. And it would be, you could even like build up to that point. Like you could find out, hey, Ash, there's a gym open and we think that you would be a great candidate for it, and he could go like battle for it, and you could do like a 3 to 5 episode arc of him trying to win ownership over that gym. And when he finally does win, he gets told by like the gym commission, like, hey, Ash, we want you to be the gym leader. You've proven that you're a great Pokemon battler, but here's the thing. You're only allowed to use Pokemon that all have a certain type. So you need to find an actual roster of Pokemon to use in this gym. And then Ash has to go on basically a whole new journey finding Pokemon of that type that fit his fighting style that he wants to use at his own gym. And then, of course, you get the actual story of him using them. And maybe he loses his first few matches and has to give out a few more badges than he would have liked. And he has to kind of cope with the reality that, like, God, I might be a really good Pokemon trainer, but it has a lot to do with the actual Pokemon that I raised. And I need to work harder on these new single type Pokemon in order to make them the kind of Pokemon that I can win matches with and stuff. Like, there's so much story in that one angle, just Ash as a gym leader, that it doesn't even have to just be, oh, Ash is a gym leader now. Watch battles every week. You could do so much more with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. I really enjoyed that. But now let's go back to Foster's next question. Oh, you said wrestlers, and we don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wrestlers that you like and aren't sure why. I really like. I'm such a self-rationalizer that I don't think I have an answer for this, because even if it's just somebody where it's like I've never seen this wrestler before and I see them for the first time but I like them, 9 times out of 10 it's because, wow, they're really charismatic. It's not
right.
There aren't any wrestlers that I like without having a good reason for it, really.
Yeah, and then I already gave an answer of like Corbin, so because I've still stuck by him despite him losing so much steam, because I still see like promise there. So I guess that'll be my answer, and yeah, I guess we can move on.
All right, the final question of this month's Q&A: what are some other TV shows that you loved/hated from your youth?
TV shows that I loved/hated. Loved Hey Arnold as a kid.
Yep.
That had some deep life lessons, man. Jesus Christ. Honestly, I never cared for Rocko's Modern Life as a kid. Maybe it's one
that's a show where, like, if it was on, I would leave it on, but I never really seeked it out. Like, I didn't go out of my way to find it, and it wasn't like that like appointment programming. Like, I would say like Hey Arnold and Rugrats were more like that scheduled appointment programming for me.
Right.
Not so much like Hey Monsters either. I wasn't that into that. My appointment programming as a kid, like it was when I was really young, like under 5, I would say it was like Barney and Winnie the Pooh, and then I would say like 96 ish. So I would have been like 6 years old. It was Power Rangers, and then eventually through Power Rangers, I also grew to like Big Bad Beetleborgs and Teenage Mutant Samurai Cyber Squad or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of it. Something like that. It might not be Teenage Mutant. That might be from TMNT, but I like TMNT too. And then in 98, just Pokemon, and then Digimon, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was like my entire life. And as far as like later night, like, believe it or not, when I was really young, like late 90s, when I was starting to be like more kind of self-aware and kind of trying to carve out my own tastes and interests, I watched a lot of older sitcoms. Like, I loved the Wonder Years and the Brady Bunch and Three's Company and All in the Family. And I even liked Laverne and Shirley. Like, I always watched that. I think that was called Nick at Night. And that was like my thing that I used to stay up and watch on weekends. And obviously all the Cartoon Network stuff, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, basically the shit that we talked about in our cartoon WrestleMania earlier too. So what about you?
Loved Samurai Jack as a kid. In fact, I need to fucking criticize myself and drag myself for all the other.
Rotten Butter's in chat, and he helped me. It's Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, not Teenage Mutant.
Oh, hey, Ron Butter, how's it going? But no, like I need to drag myself because I know Samurai Jack came out with those new episodes that I still haven't watched, and I heard the conclusion of the series was beautiful.
Oh, and you know what? Speaking of that type of show, like samurai and like animated, but not necessarily anime. I already kind of mentioned this earlier too. Jackie Chan Adventures was my shit.
Oh yeah, Jackie Chan Adventures was great.
And if we want to go back even further, X-Men the Animated Series also.
Oh, dude, I live for that show. The theme still holds up.
Oh,
both
absolutely.
That theme and the 90s Spider-Man theme still fucking hold up. And
you know what? Other shows from like around that time, I used to watch Transformers religiously to the point that I would go to Blockbuster multiple times a month and pick up new Transformers movies, like cartoon movies of the Transformers.
Right.
And based on that, I also liked Beast Wars, which is like a Transformers knockoff, and Voltron and Thundercats. And I'm sure there was something else along those lines. Oh, no, that was Voltron. Never mind. But yeah, there's something else along those lines that I liked. Captain Planet. was another one that I actually did like, believe it or not. So yeah, that was I was like, that was yeah, definitely a lot. Oh, you know what? Brandon Best said Lilo and Stitch. I think Stitch, the animated series, was a show that I liked a lot when that was out. I just
Yeah.
like the new kind of character with powers of the week kind of storyline. Like I would that connected with me on a spiritual level. Like that is my shit. And that was a big one when that was out. A lot of people mentioning Batman Beyond. I never got into Batman Beyond.
I enjoyed that show personally. I was even gonna say, like, I see those people and I agree. Batman Beyond was great.
Yeah.
Um
The teenage robot show that you were mentioning earlier, I
Oh,
watched.
My Life as a Teenage Robot. Yeah, dude, I wanted that show to continue so bad. I was disappointed when it was canceled. Teen Titans, and I'm not talking about Teen Titans Go because I don't care for it. And it's not even
Dude,
because the
I never watched Teen Titans either. That wasn't really my thing either.
oh, so good,
I think it
man.
might
So
be like
good.
a time thing because I feel like Teen Titans was starting, like just starting around the time that I was kind of getting past that point.
Yeah,
If I had to guess, I would say that was like what, 06 when that started? 07 maybe?
maybe. I felt like it was earlier 2000s instead of mid 2000s, but I could be wrong
I'm
with that.
Googling. Oh shit, I'm way off. Teen Titans first aired in 2003. Yeah.
So I was right, early 2000s then.
Yeah, I definitely missed that boat though. And since we're talking about the early to mid 2000s, Avatar the Last Airbender was absolutely
Oh, dude, fuck yes. And you know
right.
something? It actually took me a while to get on the first season of Avatar, but when I did, I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen a cartoon like this, and like that was amazing. Hypothesis said in the member voice, but I do remember Static Shock, and I love that show.
Forget Static Shock, Racist Fan Rocks, Legends of the Hidden Temple, all of my yes. Dude,
Yeah,
Legends of the Hidden Temple, Guts, Global Guts, Dare, Double Dare. Um, God, there was another one. I forget what it was called. Figure It Out. Figure It Out. That was the name of it. Summer Sanders. That was the name of the hostess. It was Figure It Out with Summer Sanders. I loved that show. All that, the Amanda Show, Keenan and Kel, all that stuff was just ace.
absolutely, man. Yeah, I
Oh, and you know what? Speaking of live action, since we were just talking about all cartoons and then kind of made the switch to live action, oh, Boy Meets World, Sister Sister, and Smart Guy were the holy trinity growing up right there.
right.
Those
Yeah,
those were the shows for me. Like, oh, and hell, let's add on Lizzie McGuire. That's So Raven, even Stevens. Those were all great.
yeah, man, definitely.
It was like Disney phase. Dude, my Disney phase lasted way too long. Like I got to the point that like I think Phil of the Future was the last show that came out that I started and never really followed up on. Like I watched probably like the first season of that or so, but then I never really I pretty much stopped watching Disney Channel as a whole at that point. So that's like just to give you a timeline of like as I started watching Disney Channel, I would say in like 0102 ish, and then Phil of the Future was the last new series that I remember.
Yeah, dude, I have fond memories of Phil of the Future because when I was recovering in the hospital, when I want to say I got that operation at 13 because that's what kept me out of the wheelchair. And the TV only had like 13 channels, so I missed wrestling that whole period. Thank goodness they provided me with a laptop, which I was so grateful because then I would go on WWE.com and get updated on everything going on. That's how I learned about Michaels and Hogan feuding.
Foster, Foster, Foster. Watch Smart Guy. Yes, I watched Smart Guy. Smart Guy. Phil Henderson is the greatest sitcom father in the history of sitcoms. I'm sorry if you disagree. I'm okay with you disagreeing. That's my view, and you're not going to change it. I loved Phil Henderson, man. He was the freaking best. TJ was great. Marcus was great. Freaking Mo. I just honestly, just talking about it kind of makes me want to go back and watch a few episodes of Smart Guy because I absolutely lived for that show. Smart Guy and Sister Sister and Boy Meets World, like I said, were my holy trinity in the early 2000s. I loved those shows.
Yeah, I think you really hit on a lot of the good ones, dude. I really don't think there would be much that I could add that hasn't already been said. So
And even like Sister Sister, even to the point that I continued watching Sister Sister and Smart Guy. I think that they started getting shown on BET when I was in college. So like I would have like my laptop pulled up and typing a report for my college or like working on Photoshop or something. And I would have like Smart Guy or Sister Sister playing on BET in the background. And that's how I discovered the show The Game, which has one of the Maury sisters in it.
Right.
Yeah, like it's that's my childhood right there. Is Sister Sister. It's those that really will add a fourth because Full House was also a thing. So
Full House, you know I gotta get on that. Yeah,
Full House, Boy Meets World, Smart Guy, and Sister Sister. Just boom right there. The holy quadrinity, if that's even a word.
Yeah, man. Yeah, not much more I can tack on. Like you took like really a lot of the good ones.
Really early, and this is gonna be like weird to some people, but really early in my life, like when I was single digit age, I used to watch Hercules, like the Kevin Sorbo Hercules, and Xena the Warrior Princess, and oh god, there was another show that was like a live action, probably more meant for adults along those lines. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Blossom. Blossom was like a mid 90s show that I used to watch. It had Joey Lawrence on it. And I knew Joey Lawrence then when he showed up on not Joey Lawrence, Jack Lawrence. I mean, I knew Joey Lawrence from Blossom. And then that kind of was like, oh, the Lawrence brothers. And then Jack started showing up on the freaking Boy Meets World. And then their youngest brother, I don't remember his name, started getting like major roles in Disney Channel original movies. So
yeah.
I followed all that shit, man. And yes, that was the version of Hercules where Kevin Sorbo ad-libbed the disappointed line that we love so much. Yeah.
Yes.
God. Thank you, Foster. This is the perfect question to close out on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got nothing to add. Again, you sweeped it, man. So nothing more to say here. That's another Q&A in the books. And I honestly really didn't feel the wear of this one this much. I don't know why. It felt really good.
I might have started feeling the wear like subconsciously, like 2/3 of the way through it, because that was when I started getting goofy and silly and ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much revealed myself to be a horrendous scumbag with that Santa question, so I'm both proud of myself and deeply concerned for my own well-being. I have a lot of reflection to do, but great Q&A again, guys. Next Q&A is going to be, drum roll please, April 26th. So as soon as this video goes off the air, I'm going to go, on Twitter, unpin the current pinned tweet, repin the new one for Q&A number 22. God, guys, it's crazy. So yeah, April 26th, get your questions in. James already has his April questions in, by the way, Ash, and he DM'd them to me today.
Yeah, so does Cliff. He Discord messaged me.
Oh my God, you're such a failure for a son. Why do you keep trying? But regardless, so they already have their questions in, but you know what? And I can't believe I'm saying this in the context of my son, or ex-son, but you could learn something from them. Get your questions in now while it's nice and early and the window's open with a big gaping hole and everything can fly in there. Don't waste time unless you want to be really thoughtful with your questions, which we really appreciate because you can see what happens with thoughtful questions in a Q&A. And yeah, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, all that jazz. 4 questions per Q&A. I mean, you just lived through it, so if you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. And yeah, we'll see you again April 26th as it relates to Q&A. And now I'm going to hand it over to Ashton.
Yeah, and Dominique Adams just said something about, I loved when the Disney Channel games would come on every summer. And yeah, that was after I stopped watching the Disney Channel. I think I kind of fell off the wagon with that in like late 05, early 06. And I think that like I was barely just paying enough attention to start seeing ads for the first Disney Channel games. And I might have even watched it, but that was like my phasing out of the Disney Channel for no apparent reason. I just kind of, like I said, fell off the wagon around that time. So that was just to give you like a timetable. I started in like 01 and stopped in like probably 06. So that's kind of where I was as far as the Disney Channel goes. But anyway, yeah, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Remember to like the video. Remember to, do all the cool stuff, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, share, all that fun stuff. Buy a t-shirt if you want one. Support us on Patreon if you're interested. You have about, 60 or so hours left. Not even. You've basically got 50 hours left to donate to the Patreon before those get locked in. And then if you're at the $3 or higher amount by the end of that time period, you'll get into the Discord. And if you're not, you won't get into the Discord, or if you're in and out, you'll get kicked out. And of course, that also means that if we stay at the $120 or above mark on the Patreon, we're going to be doing live reactions to Progress starting on next Tuesday already. Well, I say, yeah, it's next Tuesday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's about all I've got to say, guys. So we'll see you all, I think, next Monday. Yeah, next Monday for, I believe, Sakura Genesis, right, John?
Oh, the artisan of the armbar versus the ace of New Japan. I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
Yep, next Monday, Sakura Genesis. And then if we do hit the community goal, we're going to be live reacting to Progress on Tuesday, then NXT review, and then we get into TWitWoW with
Sweet mother
New Orleans preview and predictions.
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. So, guys, we'll see you then. We've got the next 3 days off. And then, for those of you that haven't been paying attention, because, there's a lot of shit going on right now, I can't say I blame you. We're going to be doing at least one commentary every single day from Monday, April 2nd until Friday, April 13th. Finishing things out on that 13th, on the Friday the 13th in April, with the official TWitWoW Mock Superstar Shakeup. So that's how stacked April is, that we're literally starting the month out with like 11 or 12 straight days of content. That's TWitWoW Mania for you people. And we will see you all on Monday for our Sakura Genesis live reactions. Stay tuned.